Hey everybody, happy Tuesday, Wednesday, what's today? Wednesday. Oh, it's right here at the top helping me out. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Mastermind Academy. New nerf. That's pretty dope. That's pretty awesome. Definitely let me know how that goes. Both the shocks and the implementation of some of the stuff with the new IT directors. It's a pretty cool company. It seems like a pretty cool company to work for. I'd love to work for some auto brand, auto parts brand, whatever. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. Yeah, that's right. We're on time today. We are part of the on time crew. What's up, YGBSM? What's up, Diego? In AWS, what is the best way to store and access a variable between jobs and workflows? Depending on your security and what you need, probably parameter store is what a lot of people use commonly. There's also secrets manager, but it doesn't actually provide, it's more expensive and it's a little more of a hassle, and it doesn't actually provide that much more security, if any, over parameter store. So I would check out parameter store. That's probably your best option. What's up, MGene? What's up, Key Lime? What's up, everybody? We're gonna let everyone get on in here. My light is like my dog hit it and it's like not on me, but it's fine. We'll be okay. I'm not the star of the show here. The code is. But yeah, today we are going to be learning some cool stuff about load balancers and auto scaling groups. We're going to start to dive into some of the stuff that makes the cloud great. I think the concepts tonight are fun. I think they're pretty fun. I think they're kind of eye-opening when you start to understand, why the cloud is so great. So it'll be pretty cool. We're going to be doing stuff. We're going to be like building stuff, but like not super important that you build the stuff tonight. And actually, I would actually highly recommend that you don't when we get to the auto scaling piece, just for cost reasons. And it is not a part of the cloud practitioner exam. Well, there are a few questions about it, but like being able to go in and do it is not a part of it, but it'll be pretty fun. We'll let everyone get on in here. Come on in, relax. I've got my, today I have, Cerise Lemon, LaCroix, the LaCroix Karate. So this is I guess the new fancy blends that they're doing, so it's gonna be pretty good. Let's see. Had to go over the Monday vid. It was lost. Yes. First off, KB Brown, I'm glad you went back over it. I'm glad you're saying that you were lost and that you're in a better place. I'm glad you took the initiative to go back over it. Sometimes you got to do that. And yeah, we'll definitely have some stuff where we're going too fast. We'll have some days where, where we didn't explain everything perfectly or didn't get to touch every single thing. So it's good that you went back over it. Definitely, yeah, that's pretty cool. I like to hear that. AWS tower, not AWS. That's pretty dope. I don't know what AWS is. Ansible, is AWS tower? Is that Ansible? AWS tower. I've never heard of it referred to as AWS tower. Maybe I'm tripping. Ansible. That's a good question. That's a good question. That's a very good question. We'll talk about that. Boba Cat, thank you so much for the gifted sub. I really appreciate that. Ayo son, make sure you thank Boba T Cat for giving me that gifted sub. That is very kind. I had a recruiter from AWS hit me up on LinkedIn for cloud support engineering role. There we go, Key Lime. I'm telling you, that's the first of many, guaranteed. Just keep picking up the skills. Just keep learning the stuff. You'll land it. You'll land it for sure. Ansible AWS is upstream open source. Oh, okay. I've never heard it referred to as AWS. I haven't used Ansible in a little while, like seriously. But there are a few options for handling those. They do provide an Ansible's like variables file that you can use to do that, to kind of hold them in between like environments and things. I don't know. I think it depends on the use case. I definitely think we should. I like questions like that. I think we should talk about that. I think we'll have time to talk about that today. Today should not be very long. What did we do on Monday? Monday we did EC2 part 2, and it did run kind of right up to the end. But tonight I say it all the time. Last night I decided not to say it, and we still ran up right to the end. Tonight I'm gonna say it right up front. I think this is I think it was like a 9:15 and 9 o'clock, 9:15 night. I think we'll be able to finish up pretty quick. The concepts aren't crazy, but we will be going in and doing some stuff so that you can see it. I think it's going to be exciting and it's going to be fun. Caching facts. Oh yes. Yeah, so also, what do you mean by access variables between, what do you mean between jobs and workflows? Like, do you mean between different playbooks? Is that what you mean? Pot Liquor, thank you so much for renewing that sub, being around for 4 months. I really appreciate it. Good to have you. But yeah, let's get the preliminary stuff out of the way, the stuff we have to do every single night, which we should automate, but I'm too lazy to figure out how to automate it. Or I could just do it right up front. I could like go in and get all the links for everybody and put it up, and so it automatically, I could do stuff, but you know, I like to make life as hard as possible for myself. Yep, that's what I like to do. So anyone with the link can have it. I know you guys can't see the screen right now because we're not looking at the slides just yet, but anyone who's not in the Google Classroom, there you go. That is the link for tonight's slides. And we will be doing some load balancing and some auto scaling. It's going to be fun. And immediately, all right, so now I've determined it's not me. I've only drank 2 of these. The cans are the same and they fill it too high, and my brain's not calibrated to that, and I spill the first sip immediately. I did it on my white shirt. Y'all remember I did it on my white shirt on Monday, but this shirt is not white. But I did spill something earlier. You can't see it, but there is some cruft here. You know, I'm a child and I didn't want to put on a new shirt because why mess up 2 shirts in a day when you can mess up 1? There's no reason to mess up more than 1 shirt in a day. So, you know, it's okay though. But now I've learned, 3rd time, I will not make the same mistake. I will bring the can fully to my lips and then tip. I won't tip before I start getting there. You know, life's hard sometimes. Life's real hard sometimes. All right, so I felt there's also something else I wanted to say. Oh yes, something I've been forgetting about. Something I've been forgetting about is we still have these over here. I have 3 of them. 3 of these Google Nest Minis to give away. They've been sitting right here. I've been planning on telling you how to get them. I have a couple ideas. I'm gonna confirm that. I'm gonna like make sure I know what I'm doing first. Like I know there's an easy way to. There's some cool stuff in Twitch actually that allow me to like pick people and stuff, but I want to figure out a cool way to I don't know, to have you guys have to earn it, you know. So I'll give you information on that. Some bendy straws. Bendy straws is a good idea. We have some metal straws downstairs that I do not like. I'm not a fan of the metal straws. I'm not a fan of the paper straws, but I understanding of wanting to save the planet. That is why, you know, I do my best to not drink bottled water. I try to, you know, drink this as much as possible, you know. So I deal with the metal straws when I can, but they're not fun. I don't like them. They're not bendy. I mean, they're bendy if you're strong enough, I guess. But I do like me some bendy straws. They're pretty fun. Maybe I'll get one of the little squiggly ones. That might be pretty fun. Okay, what time is it? 1 more minute. 7:10. We're gonna get started by my computer's time. Actually, by my VM's time, which I want to actually see if it's the same. All right, I wish it gave me seconds. Can I make it give me seconds? I can't. Let's click this on, make sure it stays on. Also, no, now we're gonna get started like a minute late because I don't know if anyone's watching Microsoft Build or was watching any of the Microsoft Build conferences, press conferences and stuff. But if you own a Windows computer, if you've been thinking about getting a Windows computer, they have some really cool stuff coming like right now. And I think we talked, I don't know if it was in this boot camp or not, but I talked about why, you know, so I use Mac, Linux, and PC because they all provide the right tool for a certain job that I do. I use my a Linux computer for development because, you know, the applications run natively on there. You know, the tools and things, I can do everything right there and it just makes sense. I also like the workflow. I use Windows for content creation as well as gaming. So it's like each platform's good at two things. Mac and Windows are good for content creation. So like the Adobe products and all the other, expensive programs that you use to make content, all the streaming software stuff is good on, Windows and Mac. But then, development development tools are best kind of on Mac and Linux. And then there's some proprietary programs and stuff on each of them, and like I like Linux, but again I also want the proprietary program sometimes, even though I'm a fan of open source. But now Windows with WSL2 was already going to be great, but they've also included the ability for you to run graphical user Linux apps, so GUI apps from Linux kind of inside of WSL2. It's pretty dope, to be honest. So now that'll allow me to do some, it'll make development easy on Windows for me, as well as gaming and content creation. So it might be the way to go. I might switch over to Windows full time just to give it a go, to see how I feel. Even though I'm I love Linux. It'll always have a place in my heart. My laptop still has Linux on it, but I might give it a go to see how good it is as a complete package. I think it might be pretty fun. You play Modern Warfare? Yes. Also, that's a great question. Won my first game of Warzone's Monday night. I think we won it Monday night, and that now makes me the greatest Call of Duty player on the planet. That was the last thing I needed, the last title that I needed to submit myself as the greatest Call of Duty player on the planet. But I am, in fact, now. I've won a single game of Warzones, and I'm the greatest. Whoever did it, no one can stop me. But yeah, I play on PC. I play that. I'm playing Valorant right now. I used to play Overwatch a lot. I still play it a little bit, but then I play a lot of single player games right now too. I'm trying to play through Doom, the Doom Eternal. I'm trying to play through Gears of War Tactics. There's tons of stuff on the list that I just don't have time to play. But we're definitely, there's a lot of people in the community who are big into gaming, so we got to figure out a way to put a little more structure around that and play some games. We got to squad up for sure. All right, but let's get started. You guys came here for the AWS stuff, not the gaming. So let's talk about that tonight. Balancing the load and scaling automatically. That is what we're going to be doing tonight. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. That is a reference to Thanos. And unless you need more, which is not balanced, but hey, we're doing good. So let's present and let's move on. So what in the world is load balancing? So in computing, load balancing improves the distribution of workloads across multiple computing resources, such as computers or computer clusters, network links, central processing units, or disks. So what load balancing does is, first, you might be like, what is load? Load is the demand that you are putting onto a system. Load is the traffic that's coming into the system. So if I put my website up and you all went to my website right now, that load can be measured in a couple different ways. There's a couple different metrics you can measure load by, but that is what it is, that traffic that is coming into your systems. And again, every system has a limited amount of resources, so those resources can be used up. What load balancing allows you to do is to take that incoming stream of traffic and spread it and balance it across more than one server or more than one computer. And so that's all load balancing is. You can see the amazingly skilled woman right now bouncing. She's juggling all the balls. She's bouncing them all, and everything. They're all working. They're all working in tandem. It's pretty cool. Your load balancer kind of does a little bit of this. It juggles that traffic between all the computers. So here's a little bit of an infographic, to make it feel a little bit more real. So over here on the left, we have the inbound traffic. This is all of you coming into my server, which is here in the middle. And so you're all gonna say, hey, Aaron finally put up the stupid curriculum that he said he was gonna put up that he never put up. Well, I do that a lot. I'm sorry. I finally put it up. I didn't actually put it up, but if I did, you would all rush to the server. And there's a lot of traffic. It will come in, and a lot of traffic will come in, and my server would be trying to process it. And normally, my server will be right here, and it would give it, just give you the information right back. And if you guys overloaded it, it would simply be overloaded it, and it would probably, have hiccups, start to serve errors. The site may go down. But what we can do now is we can set up a load balancer, so we can set up this proverbial load balancer. It could be an actual hardware machine, so it could actually be a device like a server, or it can be done via software. And we could set this up here, and what we could do is we could put multiple servers behind it. So basically we would copy our server and have our application running across maybe 3 servers instead of just 1 server, and traffic will come into the load balancer, and the load balancer would distribute it amongst these and manage the connections between them, so that now we have more horsepower to meet the demand and the load that is happening over here on the left. But yes, that's what a load balancer is. It's a fairly simple concept. Like that's what it does. It takes it's kind of a single point that takes in the traffic and distributes the load amongst a bunch of servers behind it. All right, any questions so far? We haven't gone over a lot, but we've gone over a little bit. Any questions so far about this image or about kind of what a load balancer kind of does? It's a bad day when a site goes down due to load balancing issues. That's true. That is true. And I know how you know. Is load balancing done by every computer as well? No. It is not done by every single computer. It is each of these, none of these servers, they generally don't know about any of the other ones. And they don't balance load across these either. They're kind of their own independent resource that is serving data, and this is the load balancer ends up being kind of the middleman for the request, whereas normally these people will be making the request directly to one server. They're now making it here, and the load balancer is kind of passing that along and sending it back to those users. But these individual servers are not doing any load balancing. They're not even aware of each other most of the time. So let's talk about some load balancing algorithms. And so the word algorithms might be super confusing. It might make this seem, I've heard a lot of people be intimidated by the word algorithms. Algorithm is just a set of steps to, achieve an outcome. So it's not really anything crazy, but load balancers have a number of ways in which they can balance load. And so these are just some of the more common ones. There are more than this. There are more than this. I believe I shared a link in the classroom. If not, I will share a link to some of the other load balancer algorithms. So one like this is round robin. So round robin would just it is a type of algorithm which would simply take the request. The load balancer right here in the middle would take the request and say, hey, I've got 3 servers here, so the first request I'll just send it to the first server, and the next request that comes in I'll send it to server 2, the next request server 3, and then back and forth just like that. Doesn't really take into account anything else, but that's what it'll do. Round robin, it'll just keep going around and around and distributing the request amongst each of the servers. And so this is probably, it's pretty common. It's usually what you get out of the box on most load balancers by default. And so weighted round robin is also something that you have, and the weighted kind of works in a lot of different of these methods. But what weighted is you would provide a weight to each of these servers. So you would provide a level of importance. So maybe your server number 1, maybe it's the most powerful of all the servers, and so maybe you want more traffic to go to this server. So maybe you want to weight this twice as much. So maybe this is weighted as a 2 and these 2 are weighted as a 1. So even in the round robin, it would go here first, then it would go here, then it would go back here, and then down here, and then back here, and then down here. So basically this server will be receiving twice as much traffic as the rest of the servers. And again, you can change those numbers amongst each of the servers if you want. And this is commonly done again when you have this is usually done when you have a server or resources that are stronger than others, or if you I've seen it done in a few cases where you're trying to reduce your monitoring load and you're already over provisioned and things. But yeah, weighted round robin is that you can set the weight of servers, and that will determine how many requests go there. Then we have least connections. So this one is kind of confusing to a lot of people when they first hear this, because you might round robin connection just goes there. But what people either don't know or forget is that these connections don't immediately, it's not just a connect and back. Sometimes you connect sometimes a user connects and their connection stays open. They're doing things on your server. They're doing things with your site that stay open for a reasonable amount of time. So it's not instant. So what the least connections algorithm says is, all right, I'm going to send to the server that has the least connections. So maybe we started with round robin or something, or maybe it started to kind of go and, you know, it went here first and now there's one connection over here and it gets the next request and these both have 0. So it'll send one here and it'll send one here. If all these connections, maybe none of these connections closed, so they all have one, and it'll pick one and maybe it'll send it here and it has 2 here now. And then it's sending more, and maybe it's gonna just maybe this one it has 2, and then it'll send to this one to make it even, and it'll send to this one to make it even. But when the numbers get higher, let's say maybe it's to 10, let's say all of them have 10 current connections, maybe 6 of those connections will go away. And so maybe imagine this one has 10 connections, imagine this one has 10 connections, and this one has 4. Then all the next 6 requests that come in will all go to this server because it has less connections than these, and it'll kind of keep them relatively even. So least connections is a good way to keep the connections on the servers relatively even. I like the least connections method and make sure that you're kind of it does its best to evenly spread. This is the option that most evenly spreads connections across servers, just because it always picks the one that has the least connection, or it tries to. I think you have a weighted least connection, so that's just like the weighted round robin, where you can set the weight of a certain server, so you can have more requests go to a server, a specific server or specific servers. And the last one that we're gonna talk about tonight, there are more than this, is source IP hash. So source IP hash says, hey, I'm gonna check when your traffic comes in, I'm gonna check your IP address and I'm gonna connect you to the same server every time. So it's like, hey, what's your name? And you say, hey, my name is Aaron. And it says, all right, Aaron, I'm sending you to server 1. And I'll go to server 1, I'll get my information. All the other requests that come through from Aaron are gonna keep going to server 1 instead of getting sent to other servers. This can, you know, this can be good in a number of cases. Sometimes if your application is not properly stateless, or if there are things that if there's a lot of processing happening that's dependent on other things that happen, maybe you want to send someone to the same server to make sure things don't kind of get out of whack if there's some kind of synchronization going on between your servers. But that is what source IP hash does. Is it checks your IP address, and it, as your IP address sends through request through the load balancer, it will send you to the same server. It will give you basically a sticky session to the same server. All right. Least connection is only one that is actually balanced. Yes. Well, yes. It's the only one that's actually that you can count on being balanced. It's the most balanced. All of these are different load balance options or additional algorithms that you can add on. These are all different options. You have to select one of these. You have to select one of these. Will load balancer die in a DDoS or just the servers? Great question. We're going to talk about that in a second. I would say, let me go back up so I'm not skipping things. The load balancer makes the connection slow. No, it doesn't. It does add some latency. It's not as fast as hitting the server directly, but it's basically that fast. For all intents and purposes, to most people, it's pretty much a non-existent level of latency for normal users. It does add overhead. It definitely does add a bit of overhead. What approaches are recommended for load balancing algorithm based on load? I have 20 EC2 instances behind an ALB, which is an application load balancer. We're going to learn about what that means tonight. And one instance gets hit with heavy requests. How would I ensure it doesn't receive another request until it's finished. So least connections would help probably the most with that, because IP hash, if you know, if everyone got connected to that same one, they would continue to hammer that same server. You know, in that case, round robin, if those connections aren't closing, round robin can be problematic depending on, you know, the time that it takes. Least cons would be probably the best way to handle that. But if it's already behind the load balancer, that's not gonna happen. Like, I doubt that's gonna happen. One instance is probably not getting hit with heavy requests, but also it's fine if it does. Like, if it does get hit with heavy requests and it's unable to respond, we're gonna talk about it in a little bit, but it'll basically get pulled from the pool, or pulled as a target, and it'll start to go to your other instances anyway. So yeah, if I understand correctly, least connections will not be the most balanced if different servers have different compute capacities. So that could be true. So yes, that could be true if if the thing that you're processing, like if the requests to your server are you know, if the requests are to perform a task that takes processing power, and so on a slower computer it takes longer to process, yeah, that's true. Least connections may not be the most balanced. Least connections will probably be the most balanced on a pool of servers that is the same, that are all of the same you know, type, all of the same size and capability. But yeah, that's absolutely true. There are a lot of things that come into play with this. You know, server size, server resources, things like that all come into play when you're trying to choose which one is right. So I can build a system where registered users stick to a server, so when there's a DDoS, my lovely users are not affected. Well, they might be affected. They might be affected. But yes, you can build a system where registered users stick to the same server. And there are more than one way to do that. And there's ways to do that besides just this load balance, besides just the load balancers. But a DDoS would probably, so people don't know what a DDoS is, a DDoS is a distributed denial of service attack, and it is basically flooding someone's servers with traffic so that they cannot serve data. A DDoS will likely, if you don't have enough infrastructure to support it, which we're gonna learn how to make sure you do tonight. It will, if they're DOSing the same server, like basically what's gonna happen is they're gonna DOS. It's going to hit one server and it's going to keep going to server. But if there's multiple people doing it, because it's a distributed attack, it will probably be connected to all of your servers. It could help. It might help having a hash IP for that, because people can't, you know, overload the same one. But yeah, I don't know. It's more complicated than that. Be detrimental, especially if the server was the one impacted. Yeah, it could be detrimental, but there's also plenty of situations where sticky sessions helps, depending on the architecture of the application running on it. You can't predict which server will be affected though. Now you can't. Yep, AWS does have DDoS protection. There are many other ways to defend against DDoS attacks. Load balancers are kind of your first line of defense, and that's where auto scaling is going to come into play. But let's get there. So those are the algorithms. Let's talk about server pools really quickly. So a server pool is a pool or collection of origin servers that your load balancer can send requests to. So this collection of servers right here is your pool. Your pool is the collection of available servers that sit behind your load balancer, and this is very important. The pools are very important. Every server you want to serve data from must be in that pool. In AWS, these pools are called targets. They're not called pools in AWS. They're called targets inside of AWS. They're called pools in a lot of other places. I think even in, like, you can build your own load balancer with Nginx pretty easily. Maybe if we have time, I'll show you how to do that. It's actually pretty simple, but you can do that pretty simply. They're called pools there. F5, they call them pools. A lot of places in load balancing call them pools, but in AWS they are called targets. So this is just your collection of servers that sit behind your load balancer that you can serve data from. All right, and then we have health checks, and health checks go along with these pools, and it makes this is what makes load balancing so nice, or so valuable. But a health check, it simply attempts to open up a TCP connection. Don't worry about what TCP is, but it basically attempts to open up a connection to the instance on a specific port. So it tries to connect to your computer over a port that you specify. If it cannot connect within the configured timeout period, so maybe you'll set a timeout of 60 seconds or 5 minutes or something, if it cannot connect in that time limit, it will consider that server or that host unhealthy. And if it determines a server is unhealthy, it pulls it out of the pool automatically. So that's very important right there. That's extremely important. So back to the DDoS thing. If people are hammering your servers and one of your servers becomes overloaded, you have 3 servers over here. You have 3 servers over here, and server number 1 begins to get overloaded. And eventually, when it gets bad, when it's unable to serve information, it will fail the health check. It'll be fine. The health check happens, every second or 2 seconds or whatever. Eventually, it will fail that health check. As soon as it fails that health check for the period of time that you set, this will get removed from the pool, and traffic will only be served to these things. Which is really cool actually. Now in a DDoS that might be problematic because now you have less servers to handle the load, but again, a DDoS is a whole separate thing. But yeah, so if, let's say maybe your application just has a hiccup, maybe one of your services dies, you don't want to be serving errors to people. If an application messes up and it's giving 500 errors or something, that's a bad experience for the user, and you don't want that application, the application server still serving data because it's causing a disruption to your service. And so pulling that unhealthy host out of the pool, solves that problem. It solves that problem automatically for you. Also, the health check continues to run, and when that server becomes healthy again, if it was a minor thing, maybe someone went in and restarted a service to make sure to clear out some data or something. Once that health check becomes healthy again, it automatically will get put back in the pool, which is super nice. So all this happens automatically, and it is a really nice and easy way for you to kind of handle and balance that load and spread load across multiple servers. Yes, health check is yes. So health checks happen in a lot of places. Yes, this health check, AWS's health check, is very similar to the ones that happen in Docker Swarm or various Docker orchestration tools. Yes, it is a similar health check. It's configurable. You can set it to check certain things that are pertinent to your application that you want to use. So yeah, so that's what it is. So a pool is the collection of servers that your load balancer can send requests to. And all those things are called hosts, and those hosts have health checks running on them to determine if they're healthy or not. If they fail the health checks for a certain amount of time, a time that you set, they will be considered unhealthy, and if they are unhealthy, they will be removed from the pool of available servers to send information to. I know this. When I came across this, I was like, "This is perfect. This is the perfect health check picture." Some sweet lightning headphones there. All right, any questions about load balancers, server pools or targets, and health checks? We're about to actually go in and see this in action, but just any questions about that before we kind of go into AWS and set up a load balancer, and set up set up a load balancer, find out the different kinds of load balancers we have access to, and see it in action. Again, you do not, this is like, so feel free to follow along if you want, to actually do the stuff. Again, it's really not important, this is not, the concept of load balancing is important. Later on in your AWS journey, you'll need to know more of the specifics of load balancers, but for the initial test, for the cloud practitioner exam, kind of just knowing what the load balancer does, and what service is kind of part of is good enough. And if you are going to follow along and you're going to do what I do tonight, make sure you shut down. We're going to be spinning up multiple servers because for you to balance load effectively, you need more than one server. It'll work fine with only one server, but you don't get the benefits of it. For the example that we're going to do tonight, we're going to have multiple servers, and again, that will eat up your free instance time for the month. So yes, this is Linux based. It is Linux based, so I'll be doing some basically I'm going to take what we did last time with web servers, and we're going to spin up multiple web servers, and we're going to fix those things up, and we're going to see what that looks like. You guys are going to be able to hit these endpoints and kind of see it in action as well. And maybe, I'm hoping we can get enough, I think there's enough of you on here tonight that we'll be, when we get to the auto scaling section next, first, this slide is ridiculous first off, but when we get to the auto scaling section, I think there's enough of us on here that we can see some auto scaling real time. I think we can generate enough load for that. I think it might be pretty fun. And not having a good load balancer cause a server to crash. Yes. So before the cloud, there are actual load balancing hardware devices, but you can also use software to create a load balancer. So you can use Nginx actually as a load balancer, and so your load balancer is only as good as the hardware that it's on. So you know, it wouldn't make any sense for my load balancer to be if I had 4 servers of the same size and I made one of them the load balancer and put all the other servers behind it. If my other servers, if all the other servers can't handle the load, that one server is also probably not going to be able to handle the load depending on how my application works. So it's kind of interesting, but yeah. Is Route 53 a viable option for cross-region load balancing? Yes, it is. Well, load balancing, yes. I think there are some options for cross-region load balancing, as well as cross-region failover. Yes, but that's done in a completely different way. You're still going to need load balancers on the ends, because it's not gonna handle traffic. It's all that's gonna do is just route DNS traffic. When someone requests the IP address for your website, it's just going to return one or another based on kind of what the rules set up are. So not quite the same. It is load balancing, but it's not quite the same thing. Do you think this will go over $20 AWS fees? No, not at all. Not especially if you shut it off tonight. Not at all. I don't think so. There's no free tier for NLB if you're following along. I'm not using NLBs tonight. That is a great point though. We're gonna get into the different types of load balancers. We are not using an NLB. Most hardware can massively handle massive amounts of traffic if it's configured correctly. That is true. Because generally, even if you're using the same hardware as a load balancer, it's just kind of passing traffic through, and it's not doing the processing that's necessary to serve up the data. That's true. Do all the servers need to be in the same region for load balancing? Yes, they do need to be in the same region, but they can be in different availability zones, and we're going to see that in a second. So they have to be in the same region, but they can be in different availability zones. When you use an AWS load balancer, you need a DNS provider that supports alias records. Maybe. There are ways to do it without alias records. I would use Route 53, but yes, you can use the CNAME as opposed to the alias A record. Health check, isn't that just pinging a server? Could be. Yes, that is a version of a health check, Chadwick. That is a health check, pinging a server to see if it's up and available. There are also health check can be anything. Like if you're running a mail server, you may want to check whatever port SMTP is on, rather than like a server can be up. Pinging a server can be up. Maybe it's serving web traffic. That does not mean it is working, though. It does not mean that it's actually working. So health checks are usually configured to check a specific thing that is pertinent to your application. CNAMEs most places don't allow you to use CNAMEs with the root domain. So you'll have to use the www. That's usually the workaround. You need CloudWatch to take full advantage of health checks? No. No. I mean, like they help. The CloudWatch helps, but no. Okay, so let's actually get in here and talk about the load balancers that AWS has. So let's get logged in. I thought my session would still be available. Where's my phone? Let's get my auth code up and ready to go. What time is 7:40? Great time. You guys are gonna be out of here in no time at all. 40 minutes went by pretty fast though, not gonna lie. Okay, so these load balancers in AWS are not their own service. They exist inside of EC2. They exist to support Elastic Compute Cloud. So they are actually in here, very similar to how EBS is done, which is again the Elastic Block Store, the storage, the non-ephemeral storage that backs EC2. But if you head into EC2, excuse me, wow, this LaCroix is really messing me up. Make sure you are in the region that you care about. Ensure you're there, and then over on the left, you can just scroll on down close to the bottom, and load balancing options will be right there. So head over there if you're following along. What's up? Thanks for the follow, Chadwick. Heartborn, welcome to the channel. Thank you for the follow. Trouble Guy 4. I think I already thanked you, Boba Cat, for the gifted sub. Really do appreciate that. Random Ownage. Stone Cold Stream Austin, I did follow myself today. Stone Cold Stream Austin is my gaming channel, even though I don't do anything on there at all yet. One day we're gonna make that a thing. I had to get it when I thought of it. I was like, childhood hero. I was thinking of something The Rock related, but then Stone Cold Stream Austin, just kind of found its way into my mind, and that is my streaming channel now. So welcome to the channel, Stone Cold Stream Austin. Thank you so much for the follow. We appreciate it. Why, thank you, Mastermind. Thank you for welcoming me so graciously into the Mastermind community. Excellent. Yo, Anthony Writes Code. Thank you for the big raid. Welcome. I'll give everyone their 30 seconds, but welcome everyone who's already a follower. How you doing tonight? How was your stream, Anthony Writes Code? You get a VIP for that. Let's see, Anthony Writes Code. So, Anthony Writes Code, we rated Anthony Writes Code a couple of times, but I think last time we rated you, I'm pretty sure you were still building that text editor, I believe. Are you still doing that? I haven't checked back in on it. I need to check back in on it. But how was your stream tonight? What's up, everybody? Andrew Lane, hello. Stanislav, how's everyone doing? Thank you so much for the raid. But yeah, I'm interested to know about I'm interested to know more about that text editor you were writing. Working so much on that, but I've been using it full time. That's dope. That is great. I mean, if you've been using it full time, that's excellent. Also, Anthony Writes Code is the best nano user I've ever seen in my life. Text editor wars are a big thing, and they may not be so much of a big deal here in this course, but anyone in Decoded, anyone in Pipelines, I've never seen anyone use Nano quite as effectively as Anthony Writes Code at all. It's actually really impressive. He actually uses Nano in a similar fashion than the Prime again does Vim. It's pretty impressive. But thank you everyone for the follow. Appreciate you at Shaz Robot. Appreciate you, Juicebox Hero. Anthony Writes Code, thank you so much again for the raid. Really do appreciate it. Good to have you. So we're just here tonight. We're just learning about load balancers and auto scaling groups inside the cloud within AWS, and we are about to set up a load balancer right now. So your timing was perfect. You got in here right on time. So let's do it. Scroll down to load balancers and go ahead and just click on load balancers, and let's just kind of see what we have available to us. And not a damn thing is what we have. It's pretty empty. Again, everything on Amazon is it's just a resource that you can use. And again, you can start to see that you're gonna have to, create these resources when you need them and stick them together, kind of like Legos. That's how you solve problems within the cloud. And so that's what we're gonna do here. So I'm gonna go right here and click create load balancer. Now, it's also worth noting that load balancers do cost money. They do cost money. So we're gonna destroy everything at the end of today. Destroy all the things that we're setting up. So if you're following along, we will be removing these things. Make sure just putting it into your mind as well. You need to remove these things because it will cost you money. I mean, so the application load balancer, I believe, is part of the free tier, but it will contribute to your hours. And I think yeah, it would, like, they do cost money, so just be careful here. I don't know how much they cost. It's not a lot. Like, it's not like nothing we're gonna do is about to accidentally cost you $50 a month or something, but it will probably be like, and especially for the amount of time that we're using it, but it'll probably change, honestly, probably like cents, but it will you know, I want to be clear about what might cost you money. So how do I quit Vim? You don't need to quit Vim if you're using Nano, and I'm not good with Nano. Okay, so you have three options here, and you're like, oh man, that's really confusing. Don't look at this over here. Classic load balancer is great. It's actually very, very cheap. But I actually think I want to say they were intending on getting rid of this. And I guess it's still around for whatever reasons. It's like a classic HTTP, like software-based load balancer, I'm pretty sure. But don't worry about that. That's the reason it's in gray. It's not even blue. They don't even get the love of the blue. They have it all the way over to the right where like your eyes don't look. So yes, over there. Don't worry about that right now. You don't need to know the difference between these for the cloud practitioner exam. You probably need to know some of the differences between application and network when you get to the associate level exams. So we'll talk about that a little bit, but not important that you know this. Just application is what we're going to be using. Application load balancers are great because they allow you to do some routing and things based on the application level, actually. So for those of you who know the OSI model, it allows you to do layer 7 load balancing, kind of get in there and kind of know what's happening and be able to read some of the code and be able to make decisions based on that. Network load balancer is kind of used when you just need lightning fast, high performance load balancing. It's more expensive. I find very few use cases I personally don't think you'll come into very many use cases kind of when you're on your own messing with small things that you'll need access to a network load balancer, or more commonly referred to as an NLB. Yes, we are going to be using this one over on the left, application load balancer. This is the only one I want you to focus on tonight. So you want to create a load balancer. All you got to do is click that create button. Pretty simple. No, pretty nice. Pretty simple. So by default, this load balancer isn't going to do, well, let's set it up. It's not going to do anything. Just know that we're also going to set up some servers behind it. So to configure a load balancer, please provide a name, select a scheme, specify one or more listeners, and select a network. Okay, this is great. A lot of stuff sounds super confusing. Give it a name. Let's give it a name. I'm going to call this Mastermind Load Balancer. Pretty simple. Call it whatever you want. Name doesn't matter. You know, even though I spelled this wrong and it told me. Wow, look at that. Oh, never mind. I thought I was special. I'm not special. But yes, call it whatever you want. I'm calling it Mastermind Load Balancer. Great. Now, the next thing is the scheme. Is it external or internal? So a lot of people don't think that like you can actually put a load balancer internally. What does internal mean? Internet facing versus internal is if people can access my applications from the web, I want an internet facing load balancer. I need it to be networked to be able to interface with the open web. But internal is maybe I work at a large company and we have a bunch of servers that aren't accessible to the web where people go to, you know, get things related to the company. Maybe we have so many people, maybe we're a company of 10,000 and we need to balance the load within our intranet or something. And that's where you would choose internal. We don't need internal. We need internet facing because we are doing stuff with the web. But yes, ALB, application load balancer, that's the one that we're doing. Do not choose NLB. We are doing ALBs all the way to the left is what you want. Okay, and go ahead and leave this one IPv4 versus dual stack. You don't know yet about IPv4 versus IPv6. Not really something important for this, but just a little quick thing. IP addresses again are those those numbered addresses, on our servers 152.467.381 or whatever, that give a computer a location over a network, but because of the amount of computing devices there are around the world, we are running out of IP addresses, just like we did with phone numbers. And in the US, phone numbers used to be 7 digits. Because we were running out of them, we had to up it and give area codes. Now it's 10 digits, so now you can have many more phone numbers. Those 7-digit numbers can repeat. IPv6 is a new method of IP addressing, which allows us to have many more combinations of addresses, so we won't run out of addresses. And this is something that's being implemented worldwide. And so to support that, you can set up dual stack, but right now, not important. That's just a little bit of sweet computing knowledge for you, but we'll leave that on IPv4. Now we're gonna talk about listeners. So listeners are a process that checks for a connection request using a protocol and a port that you have configured. So this is actually gonna be where we're setting up our listeners actually going to be what we're going to be using to both define what we're doing and to set up our health check. But I'll leave it there, leave it right on HTTP and port 80. Remember that we learned about web servers. The web is served over the protocol HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and that runs over port 80. If we change this to HTTPS, which is secure HTTP, and see, someone said it was backwards last time, and yes, that the reason they put secure in the front here is because it makes a little more sense when you say it, but it is HTTPS, which is Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure, and you can see that's port 443, but we are not setting up any of that tonight. Just leave it right here on 80, right there. What's up, Jumpin' Jacks? Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, next, configure security. Where are we actually? Security settings. Okay, so now when you hit next, it's going to take you to security settings and availability zones. Specify the availability zones for your load balancer. This is a great overview. There's also great to see how the different paradigms in the cloud start to work together. So the load balancer routes traffic to targets in these availability zones only. So inside of a region might be something like Northern Virginia, or US East 2, which is Ohio, or US West, or Singapore, which is the global geographic location of a cluster of data centers. And the availability zones are different zones or data centers inside of a region. You can load balance in between those availability zones that exist within a region, and this will allow you to set up only which ones you want to set up. So I'm going to so the problem right now is I only have stuff in US East 1A. I don't think I have anything in any other availability zones. I used to do in the default availability zone. This is I didn't know we set this up. Okay, I'll leave this here. Yours is probably only has this, the default. Make sure you're on the default. So under VPC, if you're following, go to default. I'm pretty sure you only have default. This is something that I set up. We're going to talk about VPCs, but so go ahead and select all of these. So everyone you select will basically say, hey, I can load balance between any of these availability zones. So US East 1 has a lot. If you are in a different region, if you're not in Northern Virginia, you may have less availability zones than I have, and that is okay. Just go ahead and select them all, or just a couple. It doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna select them all. It doesn't hurt. And I'm gonna click next. All right. What's up? Did you choose? Yeah, I chose all of them. I chose every single one. Okay. Now, if your traffic load balance needs to be secure, no, it doesn't. I'm just gonna click next. Okay, So now it's going to say configure security groups. What are security groups? Security groups, it's that virtual firewall that you can use to control traffic inbound and outbound from whatever your service is. It's firewall rules. So what we can do is you can use an existing one. I don't remember which one we were using last. Or we can create a new one. It's either way. We can edit it later. So I'm gonna just pick one. You can leave it as a default one, or you can create a new one. Let's create a new one. Create a new one real quick. And it's, if you do create new and leave it at just, it says load balancer wizard, call it whatever you want. You can change the name if you'd like. I'll leave it there. So click create new, and it automatically sets up a rule for us to allow port 80. So the rule to allow inbound traffic over the port of the web. So once you're there, configure routing. Default launch wizard make me cry. I feel you. And now you're right. Okay, so configure routing. This may seem complicated at first, but it says your load balancer routes request to the targets. Your load balancer routes requests to the targets in the target group using the protocol and port that you already specify. So this is setting up the pool. This is setting up that pool of servers. And so to set up that pool, they call this a target group, which is, makes sense. It's a group of servers. It's a group of targets for your load balancer to send things to. So you have to set up a target group. So I'm a new target group. I'm gonna give it a name and call it, mastermind -TG, mastermind -target group. All right, and leave it on target type instance. So this will basically allow you to, this will determine what you can put in the target group. Leave it on instance because we're going to be using EC2 instances to do that. Don't worry about the other two, not important right now, very confusing. Leave the protocol the same. And here's the health check. This is what it's going to check to make sure this server is healthy. And so leave it on HTTP and leave it on /. So what it's going to do is it's going to try to connect to port to the server over the HTTP protocol at /, and it's going to try to check that to see if it's healthy. Don't worry about what / is. Remember that / is the root file of the file system, but / means almost the same thing, but a little bit it's a little bit different here. But just leave it as is. Don't even need to go to the advanced. I'll click advanced so you can see the options, but right now you can leave it as is. So advanced is where you're gonna set the threshold. So hey, healthy threshold here is once I get so healthy threshold is the number of things that it's the amount of successes required for a unhealthy host. If it's already been pulled out of the load balancer, it needs 5 successful checks in a row for it to get put back in, but it only needs 2 unhealthy checks to pull it out. So if it gets 2 in a row, it'll pull that server out of the target group. But if it gets 5 healthy ones, then it'll put it back in. And so you can set some things here. This is just to configure time limits and stuff like that. Again, not crazy important. Well, not crazy important that you set these things up. Just want you to understand kind of how this thing works. Not important that you remember, healthy versus unhealthy threshold. Like, just know that you can set parameters that tell it when to pull something out and when to put it back in. All right, so just click next, register targets. Now we don't have any servers right now for us to put in here. Maybe you do, maybe you still have your server up, but right now we don't have any servers to put in here. That's fine. If you did, you can put them all in here. If not, no big deal. We can come back and put our servers in. So we're gonna create this first, and what you basically are gonna do is register these to the target group once we get there, but right now we have nothing. So next, review, and it'll give you an overview of everything. Go ahead and click create, and it'll set it up for you pretty quick. It's successfully created, and we're kind of good to go. We now have the load balancer up and running and ready to go. All right, now let's do the fun part. Let's get the servers behind it. So right now, let's get the servers behind it. So our example had 3 servers. Let's go ahead and let's spin up 3 servers really quick. And I'm also going to teach you guys the new EC2 paradigm tonight. We're not going to use it because it's going to confuse you. Maybe it won't confuse you, actually. We'll see when we get there. We'll go over it. Let me know if it sounds confusing. But we will use it. It'll make things faster. A little bit faster. But let's get some servers to put behind this. We're not going to use any of our old servers. We're going to spin up 3 new ones. So how do we do that? Next. Not that I dislike this song. I don't know what the song is, but when people start talking, I struggle. Earlier, you talked about various balancing algorithms. How are those methods supported in AWS? I didn't see you specify anything in particular. I did not yet. I didn't. And AWS has a, I'll show you when we get there. They are supported by AWS. They're supported by AWS. I'll show you how to get there. One, because I got to find it in the console. I don't do a lot of the stuff through the console, just so you all know. I do a lot of this stuff through either CloudFormation or Terraform. So sometimes I have to figure out where the stuff is inside of the console, because it's same concepts, different methods of implementing them. But yes, it does in fact give you the ability to do some of that, and we'll find it. All right, so I'm gonna launch 3 instances. I'll launch an instance, and it's also a great question, random ownage, like a great question. So I'm gonna just grab 3 more Ubuntu servers, and I'm gonna select this. Now, I'm gonna leave them as T2 micro. This will be even better when we get to the auto scaling portion. I'm gonna leave them right here at T2 micro. Configure instance details. I'm gonna spin up 3. I want 3 of them. So that's where this is nice. I can do 1 request. I can make 3 of them. You know what? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm gonna make 1. I'm gonna make 1 so that I can put them in different availability zones, just so you can see kind of how those things are working. So I'm gonna put this one in A, and that's the only thing I'm gonna do. Oh, actually, this is what I wanted to tell you about. And actually, yeah, this is what I want to show you that we did not go over during the EC2 portion. Again, not super important for this course in particular, but a very important concept in terms of EC2. And that is something called user data. And that's what it's down here in the advanced section of the number 3 page. And user data is very important, and it's something that you will use. And what user data does is user data allows you to submit commands. It allows you to submit basically a script to your server to run when it boots up. So right now we're configuring this to boot up. You can put data in here. You can put Linux commands and things in here to do things for you when it boots up. So maybe you want to create certain users, maybe you want to install Nginx and start it up and everything. You can do that through the user data, and it'll run every time a server is run. If you save it or if you set it up as a launch configuration, we'll get there. But user data allows you to do those things. Remember how we installed Nginx? I could do the same here, but I think this is going to be a little confusing. We would have to do this at the top. It's called a shebang. I'll paste it for you if you want to follow along. I'll do this right now. It won't run every time the server boots. It'll run if you have it set as like a launch configuration. It'll run every time a new server is configured. Every time it spins up a new server, it will run this the first time the server is spun up. So it will not run every single time it like restarts. But this is called a shebang. And this is basically a little thing here that tells the computer to interpret the next lines using the bash shell. Again, this is the biggest reason I want to go in this, because it's presenting you with tons of new concepts. And so again, to a lot of people, this might be, par for the course. But bash, when you are typing things in Linux, when we go to the terminal, when we are typing things in here, for most of you, when we log into the server, you are doing this in bash. Bash is just an interpreter. The thing that is reading in your commands and submitting it and knowing what to do by submitting it to the computer is called bash. And yeah, so so everything that we typed in here, we can actually do here. And so what's the first thing I said you should do when you spin up a new server? That the first thing you should do is I don't think I need to do sudo, but I'm going to put it in here because I think it runs as root anyway. But what you can do is you can do an apt update -y and apt upgrade. So the first thing this would do is it will kick off this file and it would run this command, and it would actually go through and it would actually run it, and everything will be automatically updated. So this is what you could do to make sure that you don't have to worry about logging into each of your servers and updating them when they're spun up. This would do it for you, just like this. Just on first boot, it would do that. And then I could do something like apt install nginx, because that's how you install nginx, and we know that it starts automatically. And then you could do something like check config, because I'm pretty sure it'll start automatically. I think that's what we were seeing, and that's what I always see. But normally you would also start it, so you would do something like service nginx start, so I can still run that even though it starts automatically. And then I could do something like check config on, which would make it start at boot every single time. Not super important. Right now. I don't want to confuse people. But I could do something like this, and this would automatically install nginx. So I'll leave this here. I'll copy and paste this up. Anyone wants to copy it? Oh, can you upload a script from the, yes. Common paradigm, we haven't learned about S3 yet, but a common paradigm is to put files in S3, a bigger script, because user data only allows for a certain amount of data in it. But you can actually do one as a file instead. You can upload the file that you want. Is it apt upgrade or apt get upgrade? It doesn't matter. Apt is the newer syntax. Whoops, I messed this up. I'm used to typing apt get. I'm used to it. I'm trying to pull out of it. I don't really know what the difference is. Someone told me once, but I didn't listen. I didn't remember. I usually do apt get. They are the same. Well, for all intents and purposes, they'll do the same thing. I don't know if they're the exact same thing or not. I think apt get is it does some older things, I think. But I think apt is the preferred way now. I think I was incorrectly saying that apt get or apt was a alias for apt get, but someone, people are smart. Someone came and schooled me, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that at all. So, but I just been using apt ever since, to be honest. So we'll try this. We'll try it. It may fail, but I don't think so. So we put this in A. We'll just copy this so that we can put this in the rest of ours. Send that up. And then we can't echo. I'm going to show you. So I could have automatically built out whatever index file we want, but we'll log in. We want to get a little more practice. Let's practice logging in again. Let's practice running some of our Linux commands. I'll leave it at 8. Not a big deal. Add tags. I'm gonna give these names. I'm gonna call this web server 1. Whoops, sorry. That goes here, and this is the name. So I'm gonna call this web server 1. Security group. Select existing one. I think we have too many. I need to stop creating new ones. I'll create a new one. I'll just call this web server security group, and our web servers obviously need port 80. So I'm going to open up port 80, and again, 22 is SSH, is going to allow us to log in. What's up, McCarval? Oh, wait. Let's try this again. McCarval 084. Let's see. I did it. That's your name. That's your name. What's up, Blue? Oh man, you guys are really making me struggle. Blue Forden. Welcome to the channel. How's everybody doing? Marcus. Thank you. I'll remember Marcus. I'll definitely remember Marcus. So dope. What kind of server is he spinning up? Used to Yum, same thing. I'm just spinning up 3 web servers. There's just gonna be servers that are running nginx. That's all they're gonna be doing, nothing else. Really simple servers, just to highlight load balancing. So I lost you. I'm sorry that I lost you. So what I did is I just gave it a name. The only thing I did, which was interesting or like new, was this right here, and I pasted it in. This is called user data. It's just a script it will run this code, it'll run this script when the server starts up. And so what this will do is it will get the server updated for us. Remember, these are the same commands that we ran when we installed a web server before. You can do these manually, but this will allow it to do it automatically for us. I did not add any storage. Everything else is default. I got to the tags. I gave it the name web server 1 security group. I made a new security group just because I was tired of making new ones with dumb names. And I opened up port 80. So I opened up the firewall so that it could connect via the web HTTP. And let's go ahead and launch this one. So I'm going to use my key, which is first instance. That's spelled wrong. First instance. That's it. And I'm gonna spin up that one. Yeah, Keylime. Actually, yeah, if you're using Red Hat, Yum, you can use Yum instead. Yum update and Yum upgrade will do the same things. And most of the commands are similar. Yes, user data equals bootstrap script. Correct. It is. That's exactly what it is. In my region only has 2 subnets. Yes, put them both. Sean from LA. Use them both. If you're using Amazon Linux, how do you find it? Amazon Linux uses Yum, I believe. But Amazon Linux also has some other paradigm for more easily install Nginx. Like you can just enable it, like it's there, but not enabled. Super weird. No, I did not create a new key. I used the key that I already have. If you can't, feel free to create a new key if you want. But I would use, I would use whichever one you've been using. Go ahead and use the old key that you used to log into your other instances. I will go ahead and select that one from the list. Cool. All right, so that one's spun up. Now we have one web server, but again, load balancing is designed to be done across multiple servers. All right, so let's spin up another server. And the only reason you could have spun up more than one in that first step, but I want you to show you that it can also happen over multiple availability zones. This is an important concept for later when we get to auto scaling, because it also does this, and it does it automatically for you in multiple AZs. Oh, excuse me, man, this is killing me, but it's kind of good. This flavor, the cherry lime, is better than the apple cranberry by a substantial margin. We spin up more than one T2 at a time. Will AWS charge us, or only if we use more than a lot of hours? So yes, it will not charge you. It will charge you once you go over your 750 hours. And again, remember, if you have 2 running at the same time, it's eating up double the hours. But that is only 750 hours is for the entire month. So that is one server running all the time for a whole month. So if you're spinning down your servers after the class is over, if you're stopping them, you're good to go. You don't even need to worry about it at all if you're shutting down your server. But if you're leaving your server up and running permanently, it is something you need to watch out for. And again, these T2 micros are pretty cheap. I think they work out to, if you run them full time for the entire month, I think something like $6, maybe $6 or $7 for the micro, I believe. So that's, full time. We're not going to be doing these full time. So it's not going to be anything crazy, but yes. Okay, so I'm gonna spin up another one with Ubuntu, and I could make it a different operating system if I wanted. It does not have to be the same operating system, but I'm gonna spin up another one, make it the same, so I can use the same user data, make it T2 micro again. Still one here. Actually, I'm gonna spin up 2 here, just because I just want to show you that I have 3 servers, because it's more fun with 3 servers. But I'll put these in the same availability zone. So my first one was in A. I'm gonna put these in E. Sure, far away. Not really, but sure. And then I'm gonna put 2 more, and same thing I'm gonna do here. Wow. I'm gonna go back up and see if I can copy my user data, because I don't like to type. And that would actually run, I believe, but it looks bad. Actually, it wouldn't, because it's on the same line. I'll have to put ampersands in there. All right, so we will do that, and this will spin up 2 more servers for us. So next, add tags. Actually, this is interesting. I actually don't know what happens here, because I don't usually do this from the CLI, but like we're spinning up 2 servers, but it's asking for tags. I guess I can't easily give them different tag names right up front. That's fine, because the tag name can be changed, but let me just see what happens. Like if I just do web server 2, will it give both of them web server 2? Probably, I don't know. Security group, I'm gonna select an existing one. I'm gonna select the one that I set up, which was, dang, there's so many. My web server security group, and launch. Make sure I select my key pair. Okay, let's see what happens. So it spins up 2, and I'm gonna go back to EC2, and gross. I have 2 pending, and it gives them both the same name. We'll make 1 2, and we'll make 1 3. Okay, let me scroll back down so I can see everything. All right, so now I have 3 servers up and running. Now, if I did that properly, because we already installed Nginx and started it via the user data, theoretically, and because the firewall is open to allow us to connect over port 80, theoretically, we can copy this DNS address or this IP address, and we can see that we'll be able to receive a web response back from Nginx. So paste it. I'm not getting it, so it feels like I did something wrong. That's fine. We'll log in and we'll fix it. No big deal. Let me check. Let's check if any of these work. Nope, none of them work. No big deal. Now, so no big deal. We'll log in. We'll get Nginx installed. No big deal. I wonder why though. So let's log into our first one. Let's grab this. Let's put together our SSH command. So first things first, I'm gonna run over to var www. No, what I'm tripping. Where my keys at? My keys are in my documents, and they are in AWS keys. So I'm gonna move to where my keys are located, and then we're gonna set up our SSH command. So SSH -I just set up I need to tell it which identity file to use. So first, rinstance.pem. Our user is Ubuntu and I'll paste in this address. User data was incorrect. Yep, I definitely incorrect because it's not working. On the second 2, apt was on the first line. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Well, we'll fix it. It doesn't matter. We'll install it anyway. So I'm gonna log in here. Whoa, closed. Oh, is it closed? Interesting. What's happened? I spelled Ubuntu wrong. That'll do it. That'll do it. The user matters. You have to be logging in as the right user. I can't log in as Aaron because it doesn't work like that. I have to log in as Ubuntu. I spelled Ubuntu wrong. I spelled Ubuntu. You know, a little bit of Ubuntu. So make sure you're spelling it right. That is spelled correctly now. Okay, now we're in. We are in as Ubuntu at IP-172-31-63-241. That sounds like the name of a transformer, but sure. We're in. Did it update? I don't know, probably. But we can do the same thing here. Do that update just to see. And I'll still try. And all packages up to date. So that did probably work on the first server. Oh, this is nice. Okay. So what this is, interesting. So it's probably broken. Did I miss a -y? Is that what I did? That was bad. Grep. Ignore what I'm doing. I'm doing some Linux stuff. What do I want to grab? I want to grab apt. Yeah. Oh, or is it just still running? I wonder if it's still running. I think it's just still running. Yours says authenticity can't be established when trying to log in. Yes, yeah, so it does say that, but it should give you the option to say yes or no. That will happen every time you log into a new server. Mine said that as well. But it should be asking you to type yes or no. Let's scroll back up. See, the first time you try to log in, this is what I got too. The authenticity of host can't be established. And then it should say yes or no. And you should be able to just type yes, and it will do that. How can I check that it's referencing the first instance PM? That's a good question. You do that in here in your interface. Click on your web server and scroll down a little bit and maybe scroll up. Let me find it. It's on here somewhere. Down here at the bottom, there's a place for key. All right, key pair name. So it's about halfway down on the left side. Key pair name, and that'll tell you which key pair you're using. Permission denied, public key. Now, John Famella, you might need to change. Does it say permissions are too open? Oh, yours is blank. Yeah, you'll need to spin up a new instance and make sure you select a key. That's interesting. It let you do that? That's very interesting, actually. So you probably need to spin up a new instance. Okay. This is interesting. I'm gonna kill that. I'm gonna kill. So yours is all of you all's is probably in the same state, which is probably pretty problematic. I don't know why. I don't know why this is happening, to be honest. And it said, did I mean PT upgrade? Are you using Ubuntu, Craig? That sounds like, oh, sorry. It's not app dash. It's apt upgrade. So remove the dash in between apt and upgrade. That's the problem for that one. I don't know what the problem with mine is. I'm gonna kill 1703. So I'm assuming everyone else is having the same issue. All right, I'm gonna give you guys a command really quick. No, I'm not. So here's what I want you to do. If you know what, let me see something. So do I might have broke everyone's stuff. Let me know if you guys are also having trouble. That user data, because I messed up the user data, it might be causing you some problems. And I might give you some commands to run real quick to fix it. Whack city. So that might have been in the middle of, I wonder why I got stuck. So basically it looks like our computers got stuck while upgrading. It might have been fine. This is probably why, but I did a dash Y. Anyone who knows some Linux stuff, does dash Y not, does it not, yeah, I guess it wouldn't select those prompts. That's probably why. Yes, so, yes, that will fix it. That fixed it for me too. So here's what you're gonna have to do, everybody. Bobacat, did you have to kill your first app process, or did you just ran sudo dpkg? Did you just run that without killing the other stuff? Oh, well, if you okay. Oh, so you did have to kill it. Your just machine, yours is letting it run manually. All right. So I might have messed up I messed up the user data stuff, which may have put yours in a weird state. I will do my best to get you working, but again, the concept that we're trying to show you is just a little bouncer in action. We've already gone over how to set up a web server, so if you want to do this yourself, actually all we're doing is the same thing that we did on Monday. Right now we're doing the same thing that we did on Monday, but we're going to do it on 3 different servers, okay? Minus the end piece where we're installing our own like HTML site from that one page. All we're doing is up to the part where we install Nginx. That's all we're doing. So yay for breaking everyone's stuff. Excellent. So I'm just gonna get Nginx installed on here. Sudo apt install Nginx, and so that's gonna install Nginx here, and then we'll be able to see Nginx running here, and I'll probably have to do the same fix on the other 2 servers. So I'll grab this, and I'll just refresh number 1. There we go. So now this works. So here is I have Nginx running here. So we don't run apt update -y. Yes, you do, but it probably is already like running. The upgrade is probably still running on your server, and it's probably causing issues. That's what was happening on ours. It's asking for Nginx password. It's probably asking for Nginx password because you did not run sudo. You probably tried to install it without sudo. Try running that command. Try hitting Control-C and running that command with sudo, because there is no password. You can you check? You can check by running this command here. Sudo. No, not even sudo. Just run. What did I run? PS. This one. Yeah, yep, you're having the same issue. Perfect. Actually, for everyone who's having the same issue, this is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to do. I want you to run this command first. I'm about to paste it in. This command first, okay? Actually, here's what I'll do. I'll actually give you a one-liner. Let's put together a one-liner. This is just some nice Linux stuff for you all. So don't get overwhelmed. We're gonna put together our Linux stuff right now. So PS AUWX. So PS will show you all the processes that are running on your computer. And then grep actually. So the next piece of that command was I did grep apt, and so grep it's like running Control F on your web browser. It tries to match this string. So apt was looking for apt in this list. All right. So if you run this by yourself, if you see more than just this one line, then that's probably your problem. You probably have the same issue as me. And what you're gonna need to do is you're gonna need to run the command kill, and then you're gonna copy whatever number is in this column for the other one. So not this one. So you're all gonna see this. You're all gonna see grep -- color auto. There's gonna be another one. You're gonna need to copy this number, but what I can do is I can actually give you a one-liner. How do I omit this? Is it -v? No. Dash. How do I omit the itself really quick? Grep omit self. Real quick, I'm gonna make it the easiest for all of you. Oh, it is -v. Oh, -v grep. That's the problem. So -v grep. Is that not it? I'm tripping. I know what I'm doing sometimes. Hold on. There's a way to remove it. Why? There's a flag for this. I know there's just a flag for this. How can I prevent grep from showing up in my grep? That's whack. I thought there was a flag for this, and maybe this is why I never use it. Okay, so I can do this. Whack city. I'm gonna give you a copy. I'm gonna make your life super easy. There we go. So run this, but I need this back real quick so that I can see stuff. And then let's try, let's pipe it again to awk. Let me see, awk print. I don't do any, I used to be so good at this stuff, but I don't do like any Linux management anymore. Awk print, here we go. This is what I want. I think I want $2. Yeah, okay. Actually, and then I want to pipe this. So here's what I want you to do. I'm not gonna finish the one-liner. I'm gonna give you this first. All right, type that in first. It's gonna print out a number right here. It's gonna kick out a number. Once you get that number, go sudo kill and copy and paste this number. And again, I could have piped that to Zargs for you, but yeah, do sudo kill and 219. Your number is gonna be different than mine. Your number's gonna be different than mine. Run the command I gave you. And then when it gives you that number, run sudo kill that. Once you do that, you're good to go. Once you do that, now you can we can just install your web server. So do a sudo apt install nginx. That's all you need to do. All right. Sorry for messing you up, but everyone says in the struggle is where you grow the most. I tweeted out earlier this week, the hottest steel is forged from the strongest steel is forged from the hottest fire. So again, in the struggle is where you learn the most. You probably we're confused here, but we learned a little bit. We learned something. But yes, no, you do not. Yes, because I messed you up, you do have to do this on all 3 servers. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I apologize to you. You do have to do that on all 3 servers to get it running. But again, you don't, yeah, you have to do it. Or what you can do is you can tear down your servers. And I could give you the proper, you can tear down all your servers, I give you the proper stuff. But again, we're not gonna do that. It's not a big deal. We're having fun here. It's not important that you actually know how to implement this. We just want to see it in action. So I do have nginx running here on this server. And here's what I'm gonna do. Just so you know which server this is, I'm gonna modify a file really quick. /var www HTML. All right, remember this is just HTML file, so I'm gonna say welcome to, I'm gonna change welcome to nginx to welcome to, wow, I'm struggling, to web server number 1. That's gonna be the title here. You don't need to do this piece. This is gonna be so you can so I can easily identify it to you. And I'll tell you, I'll paste in the file that you need to edit if you do want to do it. But welcome to web server number 1. So that's this server. So we know that our web server number 1 is this one. And we're gonna do that to the second 2 servers real fast. I'm gonna go real fast to do it. So web server 2, let's see, web server 2 is gonna be, I'm gonna open up in a different tab. What was that first pim boon 2 at paste. Let's get on in there. Yes, we're in server number 2. Sudo apt, I just want to see install nginx and see if I have the same issues here. I don't have the same issue here, so you may not have the same issue. Oh no, because I copied and pasted the first time and not the second time. All right, so my other 2 servers are fine, but yours probably won't be. I'm sorry about that. Can you go back to the terminal? Back to the terminal. Back to this terminal? What do you mean back to the terminal? I'm in the terminal now. Or do you mean back to the console? You mean back here? I'm not sure. See if we were using launch templates with our auto scaling group right now, we can just update the version and redeploy. Random ownage, we are about to learn how to do that very, very shortly. Absolutely. I love it. Back to life, back to the terminal. You got one working. Excellent. You did it. That's perfect. You got a web server working. I'll have you know that I got paid decent money to basically be able to make sure a web server was up. If the web server encountered problems, I would just restart Nginx, and if that didn't work, I would tell the people that they needed to buy a bigger server. And that is, I got paid for a whole year to do just that, to be 100% honest with you. So there we go. Cool. So we got that working on 1. We got it working on 2. So let's make sure it's working on the second one. Web server 2. Let's paste it in. Actually, I think this is it right here. All right, and we know this isn't web server 1. Why? Because it says welcome to Nginx here. So I'm going to change those there as well. So I'm going to sudo vim. Again, the file that's being served by default is in var www html, and it is this index.nginx debian. It is this. I would give you that whole vim command, but then you're going to struggle with vim. Vim is difficult to use. Wow. Okay, sudo vim /var www html. Let me give you the location of the file in case you want to nano it or something, or in case you want to try it out yourself. But the vim stuff is interesting. I missed what you did before to kill the process. I should have saved. Man, all right, what we're gonna do next time, so that everyone has access to the commands, because it's easier to copy and paste and not get lost, is we are going to start pasting these commands inside of Slack. Let me see if I can find the command that we ran. This is the command that we ran to get the number. So first, this is the file path. It will not let me put it in here because it starts with a slash. I'll fix that. That's the command we ran to get the ID, the process to kill. And then whatever number it kicks out, you just run sudo kill whatever that number is. All right, so I'm gonna edit it here as well. I'm gonna change welcome to web server 2. And now we're gonna see that we have web server 1 and web server 2. I should probably put number in there, but I'm not going to because it doesn't matter. Just want to differentiate between them. This will still work without you changing that. So now we'll do web server number 3. We'll get logged in really quick. Ubuntu. Yes. Sudo apt install Nginx. But you can all see how whack it is for me to have to manually go into servers and install stuff on there. This is how life used to be. You used to get paid to log into different servers and spin them up and install the stuff manually. That is why DevOps and automation and everything is so great. You no longer have to actually do what I'm doing. The reason why you're going to see me struggle so much inside of the console is because of automation, because I usually use various automation tools to do the same work. So there are parts of the console that for services I work with that I've never seen, to be 100% honest with you. So we'll do that. If it didn't give you a number when you ran that, then you're probably good to go. Then you probably don't need to kill any processes. You can probably just do the sudo apt install Nginx, and you're probably good to go. Okay, so now I have Nginx installed on server number 3. And I have welcome to Nginx here, and I'm gonna just leave it. I'm not even gonna change this one, because you can see server number 1 has server number 1, server number 2 has 2, and 3 is just the normal one. Not really a big deal, but I just want something visual for you to kind of see what we're about to do next. All right. So like I said, if you're having trouble doing that piece, you might need to go rewatch the video on Monday. And again, don't be afraid. I actually was talking to someone who reached out to me. Don't be afraid to blow away everything you've done and start all over. Like if you get into a state where you're really confused and you don't know how to backtrack from where you were, this is why the cloud is great. Right click that server, terminate it, start all over again, no problem. Don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to mess around and get yourself in a state where you need to restart or reboot or start all the way over. Again, that's where a lot of the learning comes in. So now we're finally back to our load balancer. So now we set up our load balancer. Normally you're gonna have servers already that are there and available for you to put into your target group, but let's go ahead and let's add these servers that we just created. Let's add them into our target group. So go back to your load balancer section over here on the left and go ahead and click on target groups. And we only have one because that's the only one that we created. So I'm just gonna go ahead and, you know, click the little bubble there, and I'm gonna click actions. Whoa, no, I'm not gonna click actions. Maybe I'm just gonna click on the name. Again, not something I normally do from the console, so maybe I just click the name. Just don't click the bubble, click the name. That'll take you to where you want to go. It gives us some information about our target group, but what we care about is adding targets to the group. So targets is right here. Go ahead and select the targets tab. And the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna just register our targets. So button here, let's register our targets. It's gonna give you all the servers that you have available to you. And look, they're in different AZs, so different availability zones, but they can still be a part of this target group. And all you gotta do is select all the ones that you want in here. Scroll down, include as pending below. I guess that's what I want. Yeah, so yeah, include as pending below. I don't know why that's the button. I guess it goes into pending because before it will put it, remember those pools, remember those health checks. I guess before, one, it probably has to configure the target group, but two, before it puts it into the load balancer pool, it's got to pass some health checks as well. So just select the ones you want, go ahead and click install pending as below. Again, I feel you. Oh, I'm sorry that you had to give up on the installation, but again, that's following along with this isn't important. This is really just to highlight. This is really just so you can visually see what happens here. What we've been talking about. This is not. You don't need to know how to set this up. You really don't. But if you want to, if that's something you want to learn how to do, I'm telling you, go back. Understand how we did it last time. How we set up a web server. And then just spin up 3 of those. Instead of having 1, spin up 3. You can also duplicate. Can't you just duplicate? So you can also, if these are problematic, the ones that we spun up, delete them. Blow them away when you try again. Blow them away. Terminate them because I gave you bad information. And if you have one that's already working from last time, you can go here. You can go to EC2. What you can do is go to your instances, and you can right click the one that's already working. So maybe you already had one that's already working, like our first instance. You can right click it and click launch more like this. And then you can spin up more servers that are like it so that you can follow the same logic you did before last time. But all right. Darn it, I didn't mean to go away from that page, but I did. Let's go back to where we were. Let's go back to our target groups. Click back on our target group, click on targets. And now, no register, maybe I never finished. So I clicked register targets. I clicked these 3. And I clicked include as pending below. Oh, okay. So you have to include as pending below, and then you have to click register pending targets. That is interesting. So click that, and then click register pending targets. So that should now put the targets in the target group, and it's waiting for the initial status to register and to give a healthy status check. And look at that, they're all healthy. Now, this is where this makes sense. You see here how we're all going through a single place. So that you might be like, well, how do we go through a single place if you in the browser before we were going to 3 different URLs? So we had this one URL, which is different from this URL, which is different from this URL. Well, now, yes, we can still access these servers through these URLs if we want, but what this allows us to do is go back to your load balancer. So go back to load balancers over here. Select your load balancer, and you can just expand this if you want, or scroll down a little bit, and it gives you a DNS name. So it gives you an endpoint that you can access all 3 servers through. So I'll copy this, and I can paste it in the browser, and you can all go to this as well. So go here, go there, and then look, the first time it loaded 2, refresh 1. So it's balancing the load as I refresh. If you guys start hitting that, you might see me hit the same server. 2, this is 3 again, 2 again, 3, 1. So it's jumping me around in between servers. Every time I hit refresh, we get to a new server. You got a 502 bad gateway. That's actually really good. You guys are probably overloading one of my servers if you got a 502 bad gateway, which it feels like we shouldn't, but yes. I click load balancer and it won't let me click anything. So you click load balancers right here. What if I have 3 different websites? That's fine. If you have 3 different websites, then it'll show 3 different websites as you refresh them. Yeah, it'll show each 3 as you do it. You can't reach the one that I gave you? Really? You guys are saying took too long to respond for yours. Are you guys saying that it's giving you that for your own or for the one that I gave you? My site isn't working for you all. Interesting. Oh, yes. Sorry. That when I paste it in, your browser is probably redirecting it to HTTPS. Here, I'll give it to you with HTTP. Yes. HTTP:// try that one. Good call on the HTTPS. That's a copy and paste problem with Chrome, to be honest, because it's not HTTPS by default, but Chrome will try to do it. Okay, and so it works. It sends you back and forth to each of these servers. So that is the load balancer right there. Let's see if we can find out the load balancing algorithms in here. Let's see if we can set them. I don't know where they are, but I'm sure you can set them in here. I think AWS only has a subset of these. Of them. I have to Google it. Let's see. ELB. Oh, side note, these are called ELBs. These are called so they're ALBs, but they're also they're elastic load balancers, application load balancers, but they can also expand. So they'll always be able to accept your load. They're in the background. AWS is doing a bunch of magic to make sure they're highly available for you. Yeah, to make sure they're highly available for you. But yeah. Ooh, great question. Do these get used for A/B testing? Javier. Yes, they absolutely. These get used for A/B testing. So everybody, A/B testing is maybe you want to test which version of your site is will be more well received by the public. So you may build 2 different versions of maybe your homepage. What you can do with this is you can actually have a lot of people do this with a weighted one of the weighted methods, but you can actually put 2 different versions of the site on these servers, and the load balancer will then push some people to one site, push people to others, push other people to the other site, and you can use that to determine to start to see which one gets more traffic, which one has people stay on longer, things like that. Yes, load balancing is used as a method sometimes for A/B testing. Yeah, let's see if we can select this in here. Maybe you can't select it from here, but it is a selectable thing. It is something you can configure. You can configure the type of connections. ALB, AWS, ALB. So maybe I look for sticky sessions. It will also routing configuration, target register, target groups, routing algorithm. Here we go. All right, so yeah, so it definitely has it by default. It's round robin by default. So that's the one we talked about. It's just going to go all around and around and around. You can specify the least outstanding request routing algorithm instead. Yeah, so you can specify the least connections. So it says here we can go to load balancing, choose target groups, and then go to descriptions and edit attributes. So I'm gonna try to remember that. So load balancer, target groups, load balancing, target groups. I'll click on my target group. What did it say? I did not remember that fast. Select the target group. On the description tab, choose edit attributes. So on the description tab, which I don't see, group details, maybe I can go to attributes down here, and here we go, right here. So there's only two options. Yeah, I guess I've only ever used in between these two for AWS. I assume they had more, or then they have sticky sessions as well. So it looks like you can do sticky sessions with either one. Maybe I knew this, I don't know, but this is where you can do it. So hopefully that helps. Yeah, well, that helps. Can you do weighted geo and other stuff in Route 53? Yes, you can do weighted geo and other stuff in Route 53. So I'll leave it on round robin for now. No need to change it, but yeah, there we go. That is our load balancer. It is now balancing the load amongst the traffic that is coming in. Now, yeah, there we go. Cool. So now let's talk about the last piece, and let's hurry up and do that. So these are great. Having load balancers are excellent. You know, they help spread the load. They help you manage your traffic a little bit better. They help keep things running smooth for the most part. But that's if you have a finite amount of servers. What happens when your load goes past what you're capable of handling? This is where the value of the cloud comes in. Auto scaling. Auto scaling is in fact German for auto scaling. It is, but that's because auto scaling, one word, isn't really a word. It's, you know, if auto scaling in German is actually, this auto scaling in German is something completely different. But auto scaling like this in German, according to Google, is auto scaling. So, you know, that's what it is. That wasn't a German accent at all. But yeah, what is auto scaling? Auto scaling, AWS auto scaling monitors your applications and automatically, that's a great word right there, automatically, we like automatic, it automatically adjusts capacity to maintain steady and predictable performance at the lowest possible cost. So what it allows you to do is to have AWS automatically respond to your load, to the load that's happening on your systems, and give you more resources so that you can respond to that load. So how does that relate to what we just learned? If you weren't using a load balancer, and you know, some of your servers were receiving, yeah, well, you wouldn't even be able to monitor this, but some of your servers were getting overloaded. Let's say you had one server and it was getting overloaded, and you wanted to add more resources. So there's two types of scaling. You can scale up or you can scale out. So you can scale vertically or horizontally. So vertical scaling is actually making your server larger. So let's say I have a server that has 8 gigs of RAM and 2 CPUs, and I'm getting overloaded. Scaling up would be making that server larger and giving me 4 CPUs and 16 gigs of RAM. But scaling out is a little more common. Sometimes you scale out and up at the same time, and you use them interchangeably, use them strategically. But scaling out, and is what we're going to practice right now, is going to be providing more servers. It's going to be adding more of the same size servers alongside. Scaling horizontally is going to be scaling, giving our resources more servers to work with, and that works so well because you can just throw them behind a load balancer and there's no perceived downtime. There's no perceived anything. You know, it's just, hey, I have 3 servers in here. They're running pretty hot right now. They're getting overloaded. Let me go ahead and let's add 3 more servers to be able to spread load in between and take the load off of some of those servers. And it's pretty dope. It's pretty great. It's really nice. And what this is also good for is this means you no longer need to over provision. You can now really work on provisioning your servers quite nicely. Remember, we talked about the old way. The old way was you had to order a server from Dell, order a server from HP, and you had to, you didn't know how much traffic you were going to get. So you just, you plan for the future and you spend a bunch of extra money, and, maybe you utilize the server well for a certain amount of time. But let's say the demand goes down, and now, you're still have the server that you paid for all this money for, and it's maybe you're only utilizing 10% of it, and there's 90% of headspace where you're underutilizing it. This allows you to get the most bang for your buck, because you do not need to have servers that are overly powerful to serve your clients, so you can pay less money, and then you can get the power that you need when you want it. And so what it'll do is it'll watch metrics. It says it monitors your application. So what it'll do is it'll watch things such as CPU and things like that, like different metrics that you set, and it will scale accordingly. So I can say, hey, when my servers are at 50% utilization for 5 minutes, for a duration of 5 minutes, go ahead and give me additional servers. And you can set up stuff like that. You can set it up like that, and it'll give you more servers. And these are deployed via something called a launch configuration. This is the last slide right here. Just trying to get through it so I can show you. But a launch configuration is an instance configuration template that an auto scaling group uses to launch an EC2 instance. So basically, it's just instead of you having to go through and click all the things that you wanted in an EC2 instance, it'll basically create a reusable template. So you'll go through once and click the stuff that you want and add that little bit of you'll add that user data there, and when it runs, when it adds new servers, it's spinning them up from scratch, and so it'll run that user data, and it'll know how big you want the servers. It's a blueprint basically for what you want the servers to look like when they are spun up. So that is the last slide, and we're gonna go through and we're gonna do that. But ask any questions you have about auto scaling, or if you're still working through some of the issues for the last piece, we'll try to get those answered as well. I added them to the load balancers, and I got none of these availability zones contains a healthy target. Requests are being routed to all targets. So if you did not get Nginx installed, it probably will say there's no healthy target. That one's interesting. I don't know what that one is. This is why I want to use orchestration tools ASAP. I don't have to make my eyeballs bleed anymore. That is very fair, Bobacat. The problem is, I find it, and maybe you find it different, like maybe people find it different, but I find that it's harder to use the orchestration tools when you haven't done it this way yet. But yeah, I mean, they are super valuable. I'm assuming you're using US 1B and 1C. I'm from LA2. Why doesn't it return anything on the server? How do I reveal hidden files again? Yes. Can you please explain ASSG again? I think you should mean ASG, but auto scaling group. It is yes, it is auto scaling group is just a method to allow Amazon to automatically respond to increases in traffic by giving you more resources. And so again, it automatically scales your services upwards, and it automatically will bring them down once traffic dies down. But an ASG is an auto scaling group, and this is just auto scaling group is just kind of this launch configuration that tells AWS what to do with what servers and when. You don't need to edit that file, but the way that you edit it in a server is you can use a tool called Nano or Vim. I recommend at first you use Nano, and the way that you would do it is you would type in Nano, and you would type in the location of the file. So var www html index.nginx-debian, and I would use Nano to do it. And so you don't have access to a mouse, so you got to use your arrow keys here, and then you just can go in here and type. And to get out of it, you do Control X, and it'll ask you to save if you made changes. I did Vim. I do recommend people look into learning Vim, but like not. I recommend it's something you learn how to just like edit files in and save and exit, and that's about it. You don't need to get good at it at all. But here's what an auto scaling group will allow us to do, and you do not need to do this part. So I'm going to run through this. You definitely don't need to do this part because you probably won't even be able to see it in action. So I actually highly recommend you don't do it. But what you can do is you can do two things. You can set up an auto scaling group needs a launch configuration. So again, it needs to know how to spin up a server. If AWS is going to give you new services, if it's going to give you new servers automatically, it needs to know what that server has to have on it. It needs to know how that server needs to be set up. So I went down over here on the left underneath load balancing, and I went to auto scaling groups. And so to do that, I need to set up the first thing it has you do is select the launch configuration or create one. So it'll allow me to do it through here. So I'm gonna do that. So creating a launch configuration is not something special. It is you can walk through the same process. So this looks like what you've seen already for creating a server. So I can do that again. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to select. I'm going to select what size I want the servers to spin up as. So T2 micro. It says details. You can give it a name, or you can this is the name of the launch configuration, so I'm going to call this mastermind launch configuration. So LC, sure. You can give it a role if you want. But yeah, go down to advanced details, and this is where you can add the user data. So maybe we should try this out again. Maybe we should try doing this again. So let's see if I know what I did wrong last time. So /bin/bash, and here I'm going to do apt update and apt upgrade. Oh, do I have to give it like new line slashes? Would you recommend System 76? You're the only person. Yes, I would. I'm actually super interested in their new laptop, the new Lemur. Yes, I would. I really like System 76, especially if you're planning on running Linux and using Linux, and you don't want to deal with installing on your computer and messing with the drivers and stuff. Like, my computer's been super reliable. Yeah, you're not gonna get the best hardware, but the service is amazing. The computer just it works flawlessly. I've never had good experiences with Linux drivers and Bluetooth. Sometimes I struggle to get Bluetooth mice connected. I've never ever been able to connect two things to a computer via Bluetooth before. I had no problem when I got my laptop. I had no problem doing my Bluetooth headphones and my Bluetooth mouse. It's good stuff. It's definitely good stuff. I thought about getting a what's the thing called, their desktop. I thought about it, but haven't had the need for it yet. But yeah, I do like it. It's pretty dope. I would definitely check them out. Without the upgrade would probably work. So just yeah, it's fair. So let's just do apt update -y, and I'll just do and apt install nginx. Yeah, let's try that. That should work. Windows service for me. So the new, I don't need a laptop, but I'm a fan of laptops, and the new Dell XPSs that just came out, they have a 17-inch one, and I've been missing 17-inch laptops. But yeah. Oh, thank you for see y'all are looking out. Shade looking out for me. Save me tons of heartache. I've already caused all of you heartache by missing things, and thank you so much. I missed the exclamation point in the bin bash. Perfect. Excellent. So this should do it. Next, add storage. Same thing. I'll just leave it like this, and I'm gonna need your help for this. I'm gonna select existing. What did I call this? Web server review. So now it has a launch configuration. So it'll spin up new servers. Any servers that the auto scaling group spins up will be set up in the way that I just configured. So first instance PIM. Okay, here's what I need you all to do. What? Group name, mastermind, ASG, auto scaling group. Group size starts with 1 instance. Oh, so this is gonna start all over for me. Okay, so it starts with 1. That's fine. And now I'm gonna configure policies. So I'll spin it up in 1A. Actually, I want it to be like, so this is the section where it's basically saying what availability zones can we spin up servers in. Basically, and it says subnet, but it's asking basically these subnets are all in separate availability zones. So keep this group at its initial size. No, use scaling policies to adjust capacity of this group. So scale between 1 instances, and I'm going to say 5 instances. All right. So this is going to allow me to scale up. It's going to allow AWS to give me up to 5 instances if the demand is there for it. So I'll put that there. I'm going to do it on average CPU utilization, or average CPU utilization, and the target value is going to be 3%. I think it is by percent. Instance needs seconds to warm up after scaling. 300 is 5 minutes. I'm gonna put that's fine. 6. That's all we need. Disable scaling. All right, I'm gonna need your help, and we're gonna see if we can get this to. I don't want a notification. I don't want to tag. I'm gonna give you an endpoint, and we're gonna see if we can make this automatically scale up, because it's gonna be exciting when it does. So right now, it's spinning me up a new instance. So if I go here, it's spinning me up a new instance right here, and it's pending right here. What it also did, this auto scaling group, is I need to actually put the ASG mastermind target group. I can delete, so I'm gonna make a new one. A new target group instance. Target group name is ASG target group. Again, not important that you're following along during this part. I just want you to see this in action. Hopefully. All right. Registered targets. Wait, I'm doing this wrong. Hold on, let me think real quick. Never doing this wrong. I have my auto scaling group, and when I have my auto scaling group, I can use this group. It should give me a load balancer endpoint, or do I add? I'm trying to think how we do this. How I usually do this. Usually, I have to manually add these services to my auto scaling group. I'm trying to think of how I do this through here mentally. One second. So what do we just do? I'm lost now. EC2, we spun up. I'm gonna try, hold on, what do you have? Any problems? Note the launch configurations should not be used. Sorry. Wait, what did we just set up? Didn't we just set up yeah, launch templates. Is that not what we just set up? What did we just do? There's not a launch template? Oh, copy the launch template. So this is also interesting to me. Again, this is actually this is very interesting. Again, I need to start using the console more. That's very interesting. So I can copy this, and sometimes I can copy this to a launch template. All right. Create a new auto scaling group using this launch template. Okay, that is good to know. Random ownage, man, it is surprisingly different. It's a surprisingly different paradigm going through it during this method. And now, next time before I show you guys anything, I'm gonna go through it myself beforehand, manually like this. So I can give it a new name. So I use that launch configuration to I guess I'm using that to set up this actual launch template. So the launch template isn't actually created yet. Thank you for that. I'm gonna call this mastermind real launch template because I did that wrong. Just find default launch template description. Here to launch template. That's fine. Network default. Subnets. I'm gonna add my same subnets here. So yeah, this part's a little bit complicated, but this is not a part of the exam. But yeah, that's interesting. So I added a few there. Scaling policies. I'm gonna scale between 1 and 5. Scale group size, average utilization 3 and 100. So is this gonna give me what I want? I hope this gives me what I want. Does that feel more right? Reference for beginners. Yeah, thank you for posting that. All right. So interesting. So is there no way in here to easily see my launch configuration versus my launch templates? This is interesting. I actually don't like this. I don't like this at all. So this is my real launch template up top. But this is very interesting. I'm learning something right now. And this is actually very confusing. Launch instances in the auto scaling group can be launched using either a launch template or a launch configuration. I'm actually very confused here. Launch configurations should not be used with auto scaling groups. Maybe I knew that, but I don't know. Okay, either way, that's fine. So we have this launch. We have this here. But let's look down what's in this here. So we have our subnets, we have our availability zones that I can get to. We got some information about it. We have our scaling policies here, which can track instance sizes. It says a CPU utilization of 3 is when it will upgrade or will add more resources. Instances need 100 seconds to warm up. I don't think it'll take that long. So this is set up. Instances are here. We have a healthy instance here. And I should be able to put this ASG behind the load balancer, right? What? Now I'm all confused. Yeah, the tab. Okay, cool. All right, this is right. Okay, so first let's see if this worked. Let's check if this worked first. But thank you very much for that. No, there are two things now. Launch templates are the newer cool kid solution. Okay. All right, so I'm old school, and maybe that's why I'm so confused. Like I'm like, oh, I don't know, this seems really weird to me. Or it's either that, or I'm not sure that I knew. Like now that we're saying both words, I'm not sure that I actually knew the difference between either one of them. The workflow should be create your auto scaling group, which we did. Then select your launch template, then select your load balancer. Okay, got it. That's why I couldn't find anything in selecting the load balancer. But first, let's check to make sure this is actually. Let's make sure our user data actually works. So this is our new server, and it did not work. We suck at writing user data. Look at that. We were really bad at writing user data. We can see what happened here. We can log in and see what happened here. This is probably, oh, you know what it was? We missed the -y there too. You probably told me. I'm gonna scroll back up and see. But we missed the -y for the Nginx. Yeah. So basically we didn't tell it to respond yes to all the prompts. So it doesn't actually have Nginx on it. So none, like this will not work. Let's do this again. Can we modify? We can just modify this launch template. So we can go back. We can go to launch configurations. So how do I see my launch templates though? Like, can I not see them from here? Oh, they're under instances, and okay. Thank you very much. That'll do it. Okay, perfect. All right, we're learning here. As a subheader, so view details, we should be able to modify this. What can we modify? Template, create a new version. So we're gonna create a new version. We're gonna fix it. Template description, I like that. prod web server for my app. Source template, that's fine. Key pair login, storage values, instance tags, advanced details. Feels right. Feeling my way through this. There we go. This is likely the problem right here. That's probably all the issue was, all the way at the bottom, I'm assuming. That feels right. So the problem, so the reason that is when you try to install an application and it's going to, especially when it's going to install dependencies, apt will say, hey, you got to install these other things. It's going to take up this much space. Do you want to proceed with this? And you've got to click yes for it to keep going. So what it did is when the server was trying to spin up, it did in fact run this, but it probably is stuck right here waiting for me to input data. But there's no way for you to input data during that process. So the way that you do that is you respond with -y, and this should do it for us. Okay. This is gonna be so much better when I guess we're not gonna do that in this boot camp. But if you come to pipelines, we'll be doing all of this. We'll be doing it through Terraform, and we'll do it right to the first time. So cool. All right, so I'm gonna launch this actions. Do I have to like deploy? I don't know what I just clicked, but do I have to like deploy this update that I just did? Set default version. I was going to group ensure deploy the latest version. That's default version. So that's my default version. And now do I have to launch instance from template? Do I need to redo this, or do I need to check your auto-scaling group to ensure it's set to deploy? Oh, your ASG. So we can go back to services, EC2, auto-scaling groups, and make sure that this is set to deploy the latest, which is probably, so first off, let's look at the history. So I didn't do anything new. I wonder, since set to standby, let's see where we actions, edit, launch template version, latest. There we go. We figured some stuff out. All right, latest. This is like a whole different experience. Okay, latest. But now, because I've already made the change, will it do anything, or will I have to now go through and do something different? No, it won't deploy. No, it's not going to update, or no, no, I don't have to do anything. You need to redeploy. You can +1 your ASG or terminate your existing instance. Yeah. So this is one good thing that's good about your auto scaling group. And like, this is actually something that I do right now for production websites. If an instance is having trouble, the good thing about having an auto scaling group set up, oh, actually, it did give me something, is, I don't know which one's older. Doesn't matter. What you can do is you can right click and simply terminate. You can simply terminate the instance, and what the auto scaling group is, so you don't necessarily have to troubleshoot it if you know the settings and stuff are correct. And what the auto scaling group is, you delete troubled instances. The auto scaling group says, hey, you told me I'm supposed to have at least one instance running at all time. So what I'll do is I'll replace it, and the auto scaling group will go ahead and it will replace that instance for you, which is super nice. It's really nice. I can't tell you how great it is to again, as someone who does DevOps, and when you get to the DevOps SRE world, it's a little bit morbid, but they say, you know, you want to think of your servers not as pets. And so right now we're probably thinking of our servers as pets. So you have 3 servers and you want to take care of them. You want to make sure they're running and everything is great, but you want to think of them more like cattle. And what do farmers do when you know, cows get sick? They take out the sick ones. They get them out of there. So that's kind of what happens here. We destroy them, and the auto scaling group should go ahead and give us some new instances if we haven't configured properly. It might take a little bit. Usually happens pretty fast. Usually. We'll see what happens. We'll make this work in 11 minutes. But any questions so far? Also, random owners, thanks for your help. Like I said, this is a very eye-opening. Like, is this what people do like normally? Like, is this like this would bother me a lot. I thought it was gonna be more intuitive than this, to be honest. Poor little cows. It's a little bit sad. Like I said, I told you it was morbid before I did anything. But let me look at something really quick. Load balancers, target groups, and so behind the target groups you can shouldn't be any instances, but I'm actually very confused now. Do I need to redeploy? Are my auto scaling groups not set up properly? We've actually done a pretty bad job of properly going through these walkthroughs. First, the IAM one was a struggle. I promise you, I know what I'm doing. I just don't know what I'm doing. I'm used to checking AWS documentation. And so I could go check AWS documentation, which would walk me through likely this. But I'm used to checking AWS documentation for either their SDKs or their CLI, or cross-referencing that with something like Terraform or CloudFormation documentation. So cool, relatively manual approach. If you have 10 working servers, you can set up your ASG to 20, wait for them to register to your target group. Yes. Report healthy, then kill your old ones. You can, oh yeah, okay, sorry, yes, because the step I missed is that I did not register them to my target group. A little manual, but helps understanding the role and update without any downtime. Yep, that's it. Yes, what are the tasks we should have accomplished today? No actual hands-on tasks are important. The auto scaling group, I did not want you to set up on your own, period. It just wanted to show you, I wanted you to see real time what an auto scaling group could do. I was hoping that we could set up an auto scaling group and we could hammer a single website, all of us, and we could see it automatically spin up new stuff. But what you should have gotten out of today was simply what a web server is, and hopefully, if you were following along, if you wanted to, you could set up the 3 servers behind our load balancer. So we were able to successfully get a load balancer set up. The concept of that is what I want you to understand, is that we do have a load balancer that our traffic moves through. So it's a single point in which traffic hits, and then I want you to have understood that we spun up multiple servers in our pool, in our server pool that sat behind this load balancer. So we spun up those 3 different web servers. We installed Nginx on them to actually make them into web servers, and we were able to see that when you go to that endpoint, it balances load in between each of those. Now you can use this paradigm as well to work with your auto scaling groups. So because these load balancers are able to push data or push traffic to the servers that are behind us in the pool, auto scaling groups allow us simply to add servers to the pool of available servers automatically without intervention. So that's what we were trying to do just now. We can still take some time to set it up, but I want people who need to be out at 9:30 to be out at 9:30. But we're the auto scaling groups are what allow you to do that. They allow you to have Amazon automatically intervene and add servers to that load balancer pool for you, so that you can kind of see things happen with no downtime. It seamlessly happens in the background. New servers get spun up, put into the load balancer pool, and now you have more resources for to be able to handle the load and the traffic that was kind of going through it. So that's what it is. I'm no longer gonna do these live. I mean, I'm gonna do them live, but I'm gonna run through them beforehand, just so I can get familiar with the familiar with the pieces of the interface that I'm not familiar with, again, I'm usually doing this in a different way. I will not go through and pre-do these for pipelines because that's where my expertise lies in doing it programmatically. But yeah, I mean, those are the main concepts for today. Again, this course is for, so yes, I do think that these are things you should dive into, and hopefully you can go through, hopefully we can go through right now and get an auto scaling group set up, but hopefully you can go through and get that set up if your goal is to go further than just this course. But it's important first that you understand the concept. Implementation is kind of secondary, to be honest. Implementation, there's gonna be a lot of things that we talk about that you're just not gonna be able to implement because they're only really done at scale, or we can't implement an example of it because again, it's an issue of scale rather than anything else. So cool. I feel like I've done this on 3 jobs now. It's dope. Not sure if this was mentioned, but another awesome point for application load balancers that you can encrypt traffic at the endpoint rather than having to deploy a certificate on each and every web server. Yep. The problem is we haven't really talked about TLS on here. We haven't really talked about TLS, but what Random Ownage is speaking about is that for us to have for HTTPS to work. So when you go to like Google and for this thing to pop up, you need something called a TLS certificate. Most people call it an SSL certificate, but again, it's actually a TLS certificate. SSL is not actually a thing anymore, but it's kind of this encryption key basically that will encrypt traffic between your stuff. Basically, what used to have to happen is every single server that you have in your load balancer pool would have to have this certificate on it, and your web server would need to be configured to be able to serve data using that certificate. And you know, it's a non-trivial task, but what Random Ownage is saying is that TLS can now happen. The endpoint can now happen at the application load balancer. So it can be done there. It can be configured only at the load balancer point, and it can be terminated there and not onto each of the servers. So it's just a different way of implementing things. It's an easier way to manage encrypted traffic. And again, it's a concept that's a little past where we are now, but it is an awesome point, and I actually think everyone should copy down that block right there, because these are the types of little tidbits that I was talking about when I was like, hey, when you hear say something, or you hear someone say something that you're completely unfamiliar with, I think that's the perfect thing, because there's a lot of information out there about terminating TLS and where it terminates and how it terminates, and it is often a problem, especially when you get into microservices and containers and all kinds of other stuff, is where TLS is terminated at. So pretty yeah, thank you for that. The tips, yes, write them all down. There we go. That's what I like to see. They need to encrypt all the way. This is also class. Appreciate that. Okay. Let's see if we can, let's just spend the last few minutes seeing if we can get this auto scaling group set up, just because I would like to set up via here, because I'm now confused about the terminology. I'm now actually confused about the terminology between some of the different things. So this is dope. So let's we have our load balancer here, we have a target group, but what we need to do is we have a launch configuration already set up, but we also have under instances we have our launch templates, and from the launch templates is where we can set up the AS that we can configure the ASG off of. So actions, so I can launch an instance from this template, but I can also go down to the auto scaling group, and I guess I can use it. I can tell this auto scaling group is using that launch template. All right, so I think I got that. Right now, there probably aren't any, but actions, can I need to use this to I need to deploy this instance. I need to deploy this instance in the auto scaling group, but I also need to, I'm just trying to think of the things that I need to do, And I'm gonna create a new target group for this. Target groups. Create target group, and I'm gonna call this our ASG target group. This feels more right, and I could be going down the wrong direction. I'm trying to work through what I know already. No tags. I'm gonna leave it, and I'm gonna go through next. Let's see here. No. First off, I already told you all. We all know a lot. There's no way you can know all this stuff. There's gonna be plenty of times where I don't know the exact answer, or I'm off, or anything like that. I highly encourage people to bring up pertinent information when we get to pieces where you have pertinent information that I don't have. 100%. We're covering a substantial amount of cloud computing topics. We're covering a substantial amount of software engineering topics. We're covering a substantial amount of DevOps, tooling, SRE topics as well. There's a wealth. There's so much information in there. Share when you have it. 100%. Yeah, 100%. Let's do it. So in here we're gonna go. Oh, so now I have hella servers, available instances. These are all up and running. So now I have hella servers up and running. Okay, so these were spun up via those because I killed the other ones. All right, so now I can add these to a new, darn it, I was in the middle of creating that target group. But now the problem is I have two different ones and I don't know which one is in which. I could destroy ones from the other one, but target groups, create new target group. I like this song. This is a good song. Our group name, what are we calling this? ASG TG. Next. And so these are all the ones that were spun up. So the problem is this through two different ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what this is also showing us is, why did it spin up 5? I think I told you to spin up 1, but there are 6 here, which indicates to me that one spun up all of its capacity and the other one spun up a single one. That's what I'm getting from this. But yes, tags are very important. I'm glad we talked about tags. We talked about it a little bit before about how you can use them to manage your resources. It's good to be able to, it's good for querying and discoverability of your resources as well, especially when you get into the automation of things. It's good for billing, but again, it's super helpful when that can be super helpful. It can be a super helpful tool when you are using automation tools to be able to orchestrate all of your resources inside of Amazon. Great for things like CloudFormation, again, Terraform, stuff like that. And scripting via the command line, being able to identify resources is pretty dope. So I can put all these in here, but I should just delete. I'm gonna put them all in real quick, and then what I'm gonna do, include pending, and then I'm gonna delete the one target. I'm gonna delete the one launch configuration. Not launch configuration. Auto scaling group down here that we don't want. Delete. And that one ended up with 5. Okay, so this is the one that had 5, and the real launch template is going to end up having 1. Yeah, the registration delay could have been too short. It could have been. I feel like, yeah, it could have been. It happens really fast, but I forgot we're updating in there. But 100 seconds. I feel like it's not too short, but 100% it could have been. It could have been for sure. Still gonna delete this one. We still have this launch template, so that's gonna delete 5 of those. And now we have just this one. And so maybe if we go to our load balancer, we're actually putting this at a different target group. I created a different load balancer. Let's create another one. Create, we'll call this MMLB listener, not stream VPC. all of these. Security settings, groups, select group. No, I only want one, even though web server. Routing, existing target group, ASGTG, register targets, review, create. All right, a lot here. And the instance here, we actually never checked if that actually even worked for that one instance, because we're so bad. We're so bad. We are really bad at doing user data. I was trying to do it in the least amount of lines possible. Let's see. Oh, okay. All right, that works. So it just hasn't registered. I don't think it's registered in this yet. So let's check that actually. So the server's working. So we are not terrible at. We're not as terrible as we thought at doing user data, but load balancing, load balancers. This load balancer, oh, it's still provisioning. Okay, all right, it's not done yet. It is still, this load balancer is still being provisioned, but this will give us the desired effect, I believe, of what we wanted to do. I was hoping it would provision as fast as the last one, but it's not. But we could probably, in this case, when it is up, I'm actually gonna leave this one up. Maybe when it is up, because it may take a bit. We can hammer it next time and probably see it grow. Because I think that's kind of cool. I think it's interesting to see how fast it is to spin up some of these EC2 instances. Generally, what you would do is you wouldn't do that much of. You try to keep your user data as minimal as possible. There's some people who put a bunch of stuff there, but what could you do in lieu of that user data? The thing that you could do in lieu of that user data is to create what we talked about last time, which is an AMI. So you could build a server out, and you can create an Amazon machine image based upon the thing that you created, based upon that web server that had all the tools and things that you needed to run, and you could deploy your services based off of that using the AMI. And so you could save some time not having to run the user data scripts. That's also good because sometimes user data can be tough, because maybe you'll have a mirror that's down. Maybe you'll be trying to grab a package and there's a network blip or a network error. This stops that from happening, or this mitigates issues like that. This is absolutely very limited compared to a NetScaler or F5. 100%. Those are they have F5s and NetScaler stuff. They have all that running underneath of this to to be able to distribute the networking between their data centers and to manage the networks underneath. But yes, you do not have the same. You do not at all have the same level of granularity as you do with those. It's for a much simpler set of networking tools. What happens if you have enterprise software on one server that goes bad? You have to build that server up from scratch, or build the instance from scratch and put it back into the load balancer. Can you clone another instance, rename it, and use it in the load balancer? Great question. What do you mean by goes bad? Do you mean like if the application dies? Is that what you mean by go bad? If that's what you mean, if you mean like something configuration changes, or there's an error or something and it dies, if it is in that auto scaling group and is set up properly, when that server dies, the auto scaling group will try to spin it back up. If you're saying that it's in a permanent state of brokenness, basically what it will keep doing is it'll keep dying and it'll keep trying to get spun up. And yes, you will have to update that launch template. You either have to update the AMI, and it will pull that new AMI once it tries to launch again, or you will have to update the launch template to fix whatever the problem is, if it is in there. But yes, you will have to, if something like that does happen, if something changes for some reason and it can't stay up, you will have to build a new AMI. So you may not have to build it from scratch. It's possible that you could instead of spinning it up through the instead of spinning it up through the auto scaling group, if you spin up a server yourself, it won't shut, even though it's broken, it won't shut down. The auto scaling group is what will shut it down. If you just do it manually, it won't shut it down, and you can fix the problem, and then you can create a new AMI based on the instance that you fixed. That is one way to do it. Launch template is changed. Do any new instances use the latest config? So yes, if it's set to the latest version. Random Ownage said that before as well. You do have to set it to use the latest, because there each time you change it, it actually is a new it's a new config. Basically, it's actually a new version of the config. So as long as it's set to use the latest, anything spun up new will in fact use that latest config. Yeah. Is it still provisioning? Oh, it's active now. Okay. So now, whoops, our load balancer, is it working now? So now our load balancer is working. Try to hit, let's just see if we can get it to do something real quick. I don't even know if I have it set up right. Let's just see if we can get it to do something real fast. Everyone, just click on this link and just keep like hitting it and refreshing. Oh, why didn't that link right? Is that oh, because it doubled it up. So just that, just the second one. And let's see, I mean, I doubt we'll be able to, I'll log in that server real quick. We might not be able to do it, but we might be able to see it. Instance, let me log in so I can actually see what everything looks like. First, Ubuntu. I set it pretty low. So I wonder, but I don't know what I put the timeout on. Oh yeah, load average is 0. Ain't gonna happen. It's serving just a very simple file. We're not gonna be able to get it up over that, to be honest. What was the policy again? The policy was like 3% CPU for, I don't remember how much time. I don't remember what we set it to. On demand percentage, can I see it here? Can I see here? Scaling policies, an average CPU utilization at 3, which I'm pretty sure is 3%. Yeah, but I don't even think we're hitting that's pretty, our load's pretty low. Load does not equate to percentage though. Just so you all know, we're looking at this up top. I'm looking at this to see kind of load. It's growing. I can see people doing work, and I can see, you know, I can see the requests flowing in. If I were to like -f, man, I haven't done any like Linux administration in a long time. This is fun. Varlog, it was Nginx access log. Man, I can see people hitting it, and I can see those requests coming in. But because it's such a simple web page, I actually doubt it's gonna do much of anything. Maybe if we install like an actual application on it, maybe we can get it to do something fancy, but I doubt it. That's true. I'm gathering that info, doing my best. But yeah, but that is what an all-scaling group does. And so what it will do, again, is, and the perfect example is during all the COVID stuff. Again, I work for the Small Business Administration while I work on a project with them, and things got crazy. Our traffic increased by like 30 times. And so most of our stuff is built either serverless, or most of it's built serverless. Most of the major things, but we do have a portion of the site that is still on EC2 instances. Most of our stuff is not in EC2 instances, but because of these auto scaling groups, we were able to scale up from 4 servers. So we would run 4 fairly hefty servers. We were able to scale up from 4. We actually scaled up from 4 to 35. We were able to scale up to that. That's kind of where our top mark was, and we were getting to around 30 servers during peak times. We would end up with 30 servers, and basically the auto scaling group would take care of that by itself. It would, it would say, hey, I see the CPU is at 60% for 5 straight minutes. I'm gonna give you another server, and it's gonna monitor it for another 5 minutes. I'm gonna say, all right, still there, I'm gonna give you another server, and it's gonna keep doing it until it backs off. So it's gonna play this game where it's like, all right, utilization is here, so I'm gonna give you a little more power so I can drop utilization below that line. It's gonna keep trying to play that game until it gets up to its threshold, and then we'd have to intervene if we were able to make it to that threshold. All right. You can block IPs through the load balancer. Yeah, you got to do that through either, there's a couple ways you can do it, but you can do it through what's the thing called, security groups. You can also do it through things like there's WAFs and stuff. They have WAFs for this. You can do it through the VPC security group as well. There's more than one security group you can do it through, but yeah, you can do that through firewall. Something that's out of scope. On this topic, AMIs, are you using community AMIs? Find the most ideal to continually update. Yeah, so we're using, I mean, if you're talking about my job, no, we are not using community AMIs at my position. Right now here, we're using community AMIs, but yeah, we build our own, we build our own AMI based off of the CIS benchmark, which is the Center for Information Security, with some fancy stuff in there to work better with ECS. We use ECS for container management. We're gonna switch to Fargate now because of they didn't have any EFS access before. You couldn't use Fargate with EFS, and we needed EFS for Drupal, which is the most trash product on the planet. But that's part of our application, which kind of sucks. But yeah, I find it less than ideal to continue to update the latest version. That's true. I agree with that. But yeah, we're not using community AMIs at work, but we're using them here just because right now it's not that important. All right. Well, Drupal is clunky. It is so clunky. It is very clunky. Luckily, we are doing no Drupal development. We actually built a headless, we made Drupal headless actually. So we built a bunch of tools on top of it. So Jamstack would have been the proper route. We were actually going to go Jamstack when we started the project like almost 4 years ago, but at the time Jamstack was not it wasn't mature at all. It was definitely not mature at all, and so we ended up having to go this route, and Drupal is not made to be headless at all. There's a few plugins to do its best, and so we're using like one of them, but we actually we did a significant amount of custom development to make this happen. It did, and I noticed immediately. I saw the same IP address over and over again. I was like, somebody must have made a quick little script to keep hitting this endpoint. I was like, that's a lot of requests, but I don't think it had much of an effect at all. Load average still almost zero, even for the 5-minute average and the for the 5-minute average and the 1-minute average. So he tried. Yes, he tried to. Well, it's not a DDoS. It's not a DDoS because DDoS, the first D in DDoS is distributed, so it would need to come from multiple places. But sure. Okay. Well, that's a lot for tonight. Again, hopefully you got those tangible takeaways of what a load balancer is, that it balances traffic between a pool of servers, and there's a couple different ways a couple different algorithms for that we talked about that you can go over as well, and that there's something in Amazon called auto scaling groups, which can utilize those load balancers to automatically scale your servers, scale the amount of servers that you have to be able to better support the load that you're getting. Again, it's good for cost because you don't have to over provision. You only pay for what you use. And not only can it scale up for you, when you're done getting that traffic, it can scale back down for you as well. So it allows you to respond to the load for theoretically the lowest amount of money, to be honest. But yeah, that's what we got. Hopefully those are some good AWS concepts. Those are like really important AWS concepts to know, at least for EC2. Now, I will also tell you this: EC2 is in fact the hardest. I think out of all the things that we're going to be learning, because EC2 is kind of a base service that, like I said, every other service that's inside of AWS for the most part, every other service, minus their custom ones, because we don't have the code for it, can be built on AWS, be built in EC2. So all the database services, all of the machine learning services and stuff, you can build those yourself manually in EC2. So that's why it's a little more confusing, because it literally is a computer. It's just a computer, and pieces of a computer that you can split off and do some fun stuff with. So it's an interesting one. I think everything after this will be a lot simpler, to be 100% honest. So yeah, so we dove into the deep end first, and everything else is it has stuff very specific to it, but it doesn't have quite this much stuff at all. So that's it for this week. Next week, what are we diving into next week? I think you can do, if you do curriculums, exclamation point, curriculums. I didn't put it on the site, but I did put them here. Curriculums, curriculae. What's the plural for curriculum? Did I spell that right? Maybe it's just curriculum and not curriculums. There we go. You can see what's coming up next. So if you click on that Horizons one, next we have S3. We have S3 next week, and hosting static websites. So we learned how to host some websites via web server. Next week we're going to learn about S3, which is Amazon's simple storage service, which is a gigantic, super important service for Amazon, but it's fairly simple to use, and it's kind of fun. Oh yeah, the little baby. Yeah, I mean, sorry, I'm not calling you all babies, I promise you. I'm not calling you, it's just I wanted something to express the beginners course mentally for me. Again, not babies. You saw me messing up, and it's not a baby thing. It's just a easy it's eye candy, But S3 is dope. S3 is super important. We're gonna learn all about S3. Then we'll dive into deployment patterns and best practices. You'll be learning about canary deployments and green blue deployments, stuff like that. And RDS and on-prem stuff, and the part that I hate the most, which is Elastic Beanstalk. I hate it, but it's still on the exam. This is where I shine. This is where I live, in CloudFormation and the CDK. So this is going to be us starting to do some things programmatically. DNS and Route 53, CloudWatch, cloud security, and then we are going to hear from some cloud engineers. Hopefully it works out, but actually have some engineers. Right now I'm actually working with some engineers from AWS to hopefully be on this, so that would be pretty dope. But that's it. If you're interested in the coding and Decoded for tomorrow, in Decoded we are learning, what are we doing tomorrow? We're doing, oh, actually, that's what we were looking at. No, it's not. It's just still the same little black baby. So it looks the same. So, I'm calling everyone babies. But we're learning about data structures tomorrow. So we learned about data types yesterday. We'll be diving into some dank data structures. It's really supposed to be danker data structures. But yeah, I'll change that later. But there we go. Yeah. I'm always gonna love your Sean from LA. I'm always gonna love your interjections about the throwbacks and the pop culture references, or just the cultural references. I love it. Can I get a shout out? At least I just joined the channel today. A friend got me in. What's up, Coderholic? How you doing? Welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining. I don't know how long you've been in. I don't know if you've been in since the beginning, but welcome. Welcome to the journey that we're all on together. Good to have you. Excited. Where you from? Where you from? Your friend got you in. Who's your friend as well? But welcome. Current stream title, load balancing. Oh yeah. How did you? Oh, did I? Oh, Nigeria, dope. Well, welcome. Oh, great. Well, so people who there's a number of people from other countries, from other continents who were watching, and they were having issues previously because I was streaming at too high of a bit rate. I cut that bit rate by like 55%. So hopefully it's good, because people were having a lot of trouble, from everywhere, from literally every other continent. Australia was having problems, everybody was having problems with that bit rate. So I lowered it. I'm hoping it works, because people were asking me to stream on YouTube, and I already don't understand Twitch. So that was going to be a big problem, and I was really going to expose myself as a poor technician. But yeah, what's up? That's what's up. I've never been there, but I'm gonna go one day. I'm gonna show up one day. But cool, that's it for tonight. Who we're gonna raid? We gotta raid somebody. Who we're gonna raid tonight? Thanks for hanging out and sticking with us the whole time. Who are we going to raid tonight? Let's see. Let's head over to the science and tech section over here. Where we're higher than this. So first off, there are way better ways to do this than what I'm doing now, because I could just click on myself and then I could click on science and technology, but I like to make things hard for myself. Who we got? We have discussing deepfakes. I don't want to get into the deepfake discussion. What I do want to get into is a little bit of the startup Python dev. Okay, I like that. Game Dev Wednesday. Okay, all right. Learning web programming, React. That looks good. Live coding. That is not in English, and I don't understand any other languages. Maybe one day I should learn one. Let's go. It's always tough. Some of these are funny. Like this is just funny. Oh, RWX Rob. So RWX Rob is he's been in here before. He's way smarter than I am. You'll learn a lot from him. Looks like he's doing some CSS tonight. Maybe check him out, say what's up. We're gonna head over and say what's up, and I'll see you tomorrow, or I'll see you Saturday on Pipelines. We are learning about version control, like software development concepts, not just how to use Git, but more so the workflows inside of Git and version control, and how to successfully manage the development and creation of software. So we'll be talking about that on Saturday. But let's raid RWX Rob. That makes sense. That is links permissions, Rob. Cool. Thanks everyone for another great stream. Appreciate. First off, I'm gonna make you VIP as well, random ownage, before we leave. Thanks for all the help. You are a wealth of knowledge for everyone, and I love that people in the community can help. So I appreciate you. Did that work? Did I type it in? Now you're a VIP. You get a little star next to your name or whatever. But dope. Yeah. Keep sharing. I love it. All right, let's go say hi to RWX Rob. Everybody have a good night. Peace.